Hello everyone, welcome to the Escape Pod. I'm Josiah.
I'm Nathan.
And we're here to talk about Star Wars, the Rise of Skywalker, the fall of Star Wars.
The final entry of, Skywalker saga.
Yeah.
As it were.
Of this very meticulously planned story, this trilogy that makes all 9 films into one. And can I just say to start out, it's been a long time coming. This has been a long 4 years to wrap this shit up, ever since Force Awakens. So it feels very weird. Probably, my recommendation to you is just don't see the movie. Just wait. Like, it's not really worth spending your money on.
No.
Like, I don't think you should give money to this. And it's already kind of flopping in China, because they turned on Star Wars after The Last Jedi.
Yeah, I think the theater we were in was fairly small, and I'm fairly certain it was not sold out.
It was not sold out.
So
It was maybe half full, and it was like a half-sized theater. Because we didn't go to AMC.
No.
We went to Regal. Just because AMC was more filled up.
Yeah.
I checked theirs, and their evening show was pretty full, but that's, it makes sense. It's opening night for something.
I know they're trying to conflate it. Like they're very much obscuring how much tickets they sold. They're claiming that there was more pre-orders than for Endgame, which I just don't believe.
But do pre-orders matter if they don't show up?
Well,
I mean, they got the money, but that doesn't mean that the audience is invested.
Well, that's all they fucking care about. They care about the audience.
But yeah, I would say don't see this movie. If I had to sum it up, well, actually, so I was originally going to sum up. So going into this, you and I were we were terrified.
Yes. Oh, God.
I'm not ashamed to admit I was actually scared to watch this movie.
Yeah, throughout the week, there was just this buildup of impending doom.
Yeah.
And Joe is more on social media than I am, so he was seeing various grades of YouTubers, reviewers, and shills, and just all of them going, this is terrible. This is an insult. This is a stain on the Star Wars franchise. Where these are people who are like, oh, Force Awakens was great, or Last Jedi was the best Star Wars movie, but this.
Yeah, they were like, no, this is an abomination. And I'm like, and then the only thing I have to say to that, we'll talk about the impending dread in a little bit, but this is what happens when you do mystery box storytelling. This is what always fucking happens.
Absolutely.
You deceive yourself by thinking, well, if I started out really mysterious, I'll get the audience hooked, and then the audience is hooked, and then you don't have an answer planned, and you come up with an answer that doesn't make sense, and then everyone hates it. That's what always happens. It's what happened with Lost. It's what happened with Watchmen. It's what happened with this. Basically, like, all this kind of mystery box type storytelling is what always happens.
Yeah,
always.
Like I will not say, because there's several examples. There's tons of examples that, like, you don't need to know the ending of your story when you start it. But
Breaking Bad.
But if it hinges on a mystery of, oh, who is this person, and you don't have the answers when you introduce this mystery, you failed.
No, absolutely.
Because no matter how imaginative you are, and J.J. Abrams is not, you've let the audience have years to stew and think and come up with theories.
Because the audience will always beat you.
Absolutely.
That's why I think the term fanfic is not really a good insult, because there are fanfics that are way better than this.
Sure. Oh, absolutely.
There's Star Wars fanfiction and, this thing called Star Wars Legends that is far superior.
I was going to say, there's an entire universe that is that is better than this movie. And I'm not talking about Legends that was officially published and then decanonized by Disney. I'm talking about fan fiction.
Oh yeah, like the amount of Reylo fan fiction that is like probably superior to this is just off the chain. Because so basically the whole week leading up to this was just absolute fucking dread. Because for me, The Force Awakens was kind of where I realized for the current shit coming out was dying. The Force Awakens made me go, and not in a completely negative way. There was a bit of like, okay, this is like for the news, section of fans. Force Awakens isn't so bad that you can't get a great story out of this. Because the pieces were all there. That's the thing, is The Force Awakens is not a good movie, but it has good moments and it has enough there where it's like, you could make a great 2 and 3 out of this. But then The Last Jedi was where it was like, okay, no, I am an active fucking like angry revolt against you. And so leading up to The Rise of Skywalker, I'm like, oh god, they're going to try to satisfy the people who hated Last Jedi. So they will not satisfy those fans. They won't satisfy the fans of The Force Awakens because now the arc that was planned is rushed. They won't satisfy me because all of these movies are bad. Mm-hmm. So, like, who is this movie for? Like, basic bitch Star Wars fans?
It's, again, like, I've had conversations with people online, which is generally a terrible idea, but it's just, like, I'll see people talk about, like, Rebels or a shitty comic series or these shitty movies, and they'll be like, man, this is really unsatisfying, you know, yeah, it's great that there's new content, I guess, but this is really bad, and people will respond, oh, any new content's good. And it's like, no, you deserve better.
Yeah.
You do.
The people, now listen, because, like, again, when I criticize something from Disney Star Wars, if you like Disney Star Wars, that's great. I would never want to take your enjoyment away.
Nor can I.
Nor can I. But I just want you to know that, like, when I say you can do better, that is not an insult. It means I value your intelligence.
Yes.
And, like, you deserve better and you can get better. Because everything you can get that is positive in this movie is done a million times better in other movies.
Yes.
And that's what it comes down to. All these excuses like, well, Star Wars was always like a simple adventure story. It doesn't matter. It's been done better. It can be done better. And you know it can. You just refuse to, like, acknowledge that fact. So that's kind of like the emotions going into it. Now, Nathan, how did you feel kind of during and after the movie, though?
You know?
In comparison to, like, The Last Jedi. Because we're mixing drinks, by the way.
So for one thing, I'm having heavy booze. I've had a couple of other inebriates so far, because I want to kind of disappear.
Like Palpatine.
Like
No.
So it's very interesting to think about the difference between my experience with The Last Jedi and my experience with The Rise of Skywalker.
It's completely different.
It's completely different, but it's so interesting because they're doing very similar things to the predecessors.
Absolutely. They basically, The Last Jedi was like, fuck Force Awakens, and Rise of Skywalker was like, fuck The Last Jedi.
Like, I'd say even more overtly.
Oh,
The
yes.
Last Jedi did to Force Awakens. So for one thing, we had acquired a copy, and so had given ourselves a preview screening.
We watched about 15 minutes.
Yeah, about 15 minutes.
So right about where, for people who have seen the movie, it's right when the night...
Spoilers for everything.
Spoilers for everything. We're going to spoil this shit completely. It's right when the helmet of Kylo Ren gets reassembled. That's when we were like, okay, we're going to back out and go see the movie tomorrow, and it'll be fine.
And it was great because we had a very interesting experience where you first found it, and you were like, hey, the quality's pretty good. We'll use this to have Sal watch it because he doesn't want to give money to it.
Which is morally correct.
And so for a second, I was like, well, if it's good quality, we don't have to give money to it. We could just not see it. And then as soon as I said it, I was sort of like, no, we gotta
give it a fair shake.
Yeah, we have to give it its very, very best chance. We gotta be in a theater
movie magic
where it's able to blast itself in all its glory.
All the sound effects, all the leitmotifs that come back from previous movies.
Yeah. So we knew that the opening crawl is what they use to establish that Palpatine's back.
Which is fucking baffling. This is, I think I said to you, this is the worst crawl we've ever had for a Star Wars film. Force Awakens wasn't very good because it opened with that clickbait. Luke Skywalker disappeared, but this one is even worse than Emperor Palpatine's alive. And you're like, how? Never explained. He's just back.
Yeah, sometimes...
He's just fucking back.
So there's a writing trick that we've been repeating to each other. It's a very good for those of you that want to tell stories. When you're telling a story about a character, about a place, about anything, your story is obviously not the entirety of this person's life, of this place's history. It is the most interesting part.
You always go to the most interesting part of the story.
Yes, because that's what people want to see.
Yeah, why would you ever do anything not that?
So, when you are having a movie that is set 30 years after the original trilogy, that is meant to tie together all 9 Star Wars movies in the saga.
That's its goal.
That's its goal. Bringing Palpatine back, I would argue, it's stupid, but it's very, very interesting. I'd love to see the moment when he reveals himself to the galaxy, but he's already done that in this movie.
It's already happened off screen.
It's just a matter of fact. He's back. Everyone knows it.
It's so weird.
It's terrible.
Like, this would be the thing where in a different type of... Like, if this trilogy was more coherent, this would be the thing you would expect in, like, a stinger at the end of the movie. Like, the mid-credit scene is, Palpatine's transmission, so Snoke's dead, but Palpatine's back. But in this movie, it's like, no, he's just back. But you didn't... No.
Yeah.
All right. And so immediately, you're just kind of like, okay, this is just like The Force Awakens where... I mean, because I'll give it to The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi has a decent crawl. I'll say it's not the worst. Like, The Force Awakens and Rise of Skywalker have worse crawls.
Sure.
Last Jedi's crawl is like, okay, like, you set up the basic information. Like, I don't feel like I'm missing anything because this is following right after the first movie. This movie is the same problem as The Force Awakens, where it's like, I feel like I've missed a whole other movie. I feel like The Last Jedi is not the middle movie. There's a middle movie where Rey trains with Leia, and then Palpatine reveals himself at the very end. It's like, oh, there's one final story in the Skywalker saga. But now it's like, no, we kind of just... Rian Johnson hated Snoke, and so we just killed him instead of explaining him. And then now we need a new main villain because Kylo Ren can't be the main villain because he gets redeemed. So it's just Palpatine. Genius.
And how did he survive? How did he do it? How is he back?
Well, I'll tell you, because he tells us.
Thank you.
So Kylo Ren, so I looked this up.
Yes.
He apparently is on Mustafar, and I was going to make that as a joke, but he's on Mustafar fighting natives, and that's where Darth Vader's Wayfinder is hidden. Because I think the whole idea is that only the two, like the rule of two, only the two Sith had the way to get to Exegol. Okay. So Kylo Ren gets Darth Vader's Wayfinder from these Mustafarian natives, which are nothing like the people we saw, and there's no lava. He's in a wooded area.
They look like Viet Cong. It's very strange.
They look like Viet Cong. And he finds this Wayfinder.
And his lightsaber doesn't cut through people. It knocks them to the ground. But
it like slices through slightly.
It cuts through their limbs.
Maybe it's because it's an unstable lightsaber, so it doesn't work perfectly. But anyway...
Except when it does.
So the Wayfinder leads him to Exegol, and this is immediately when we were watching the cut we acquired, and then of course when you're watching the movie, you're immediately like, okay, I can totally see that there are multiple cuts at play.
Absolutely,
because I could totally see this being at the midpoint of the movie. But no, they moved it to the beginning, so it's like, well, Palpatine's not just at the very ending because that would be bullshit, and so they wisely, but also unwisely, put him in the very first scene. Because it's basically a montage, and then Kylo Ren goes to Exegol, which is a new Sith world that we haven't heard about. It's not Korriban, it's not even Moraband, as established by the Clone Wars, which is canon. It's Exegol. There's just like a big Borg cube that's just floating with lightning everywhere, and Kylo Ren goes there. And basically, he goes down this elevator.
Oh, and it's led up by this really weird... One of the strangest transitions I've fucking seen in a Star Wars movie. Because when he's on Mustafar, apparently, because I didn't pick that up, and he grabbed...
I just read up on it.
Yeah. So he gets the Wayfinder, which it looks like a Sith holocron. It's a pyramid, three-edged thing. And there's this one red point, and he's looking at it, and then it fades over, so the red point is his ship in space. And it's very...
Again,
weird.
The people who edited this movie, you guys are fucking, like, insane. Like, the work you must have put into doing, like, all the versions of this movie.
Yeah, this is version, like, 12.
You gotta think that they were like, how do we transition? There was, like, a whole, like, 10 other scenes in between this, because this was the middle of the movie. Well, there's a red dot on the Wayfinder, so we'll just transition that to a ship. And I'm like, you know what? Fine. Like, you did a good job, because I bet that was, like, a bitch to figure out. And so he goes there... He ignites his lightsaber, he goes down the elevator, and then you just hear, it's like, at last. And it's just echoing, and then Kylo Ren's like...
And there's like a shit ton of Palpatine statues that are all
no, because we find out later, those are just Sith statues. Every Sith in history has dressed just like Palpatine.
Yeah, but I choose to believe it's all Palpatine.
I think that's funnier.
I think that is funny.
It's so funny to think that he went to the Sith homeworlds like, they're all just... I changed these statues, they're just me. Okay.
I am every Sith. But we'll get to that.
So Kylo Ren goes down and he's like, oh, who is that? And he's like, Snoke has trained you well. And he's like, well, I killed Snoke. Didn't you watch The Last Jedi? And he's like,
I'll kill you.
And he's like, I made Snoke. And that's all you get.
That's all you get.
The only other thing you get is Kylo Ren walks past these like weird like mummified Sith people.
Yeah.
And they have like two Snoke clones, one right side up, one upside down, and they're just in a tank like he's cloning them. And it's like, why would Palpatine clone Snoke in this deformed body?
And it's not like, it's not a pristine... You know how in Force Awakens and Last Jedi, even though they look completely different, they both look like they've gotten parts burned
like they got fucked up.
They're like deformed. Something happened to them. It's like, no, that's just how the body is. He cloned him to look that way.
Andy Serkis did so many interviews. He's like, no, listen, like Andy Serkis is like so into character. He's like, no, listen, Snoke has like osteoporosis and he's had so many injuries. He used to be quite handsome in his youth, and now he's been slowly deformed over time. And he's in so much pain. That's why he wears like slippers and a robe. And this movie is just like, no, Palpatine cloned him to be fucked up. and I guess that's so he could never rebel against him. But Palpatine's fucked up.
Well, it's so he'd empathize with him.
Okay.
It's this fucked up thing, where you're like, I'm gonna make your life shitty, and it's like, I should hate you for this, but I can actively see that your life is even shittier, and you could make my life far worse than you already do. So
you could have given me one leg, so I appreciate it. Yeah. I really do.
It's
So this movie doesn't explain. Is Snoke? Was he a guy who Palpatine has now co-opted to be his puppet? Is he just a version of Palpatine? Did he have his own mind, or was it just Palpatine the whole time? We don't know. The movie doesn't give a shit, because The Last Jedi is just...
Because, he says he's every voice he's ever heard, and this is where you get the one Andy Serkis vocal cameo.
So what this... And James Earl Jones.
And James Earl Jones.
So what this is telling us is the communication with Vader that we didn't really see in The Force Awakens was Palpatine.
Yes. And that we didn't see at all in The Last Jedi.
So he did that. Yes. And he was also... Because what he says, every voice inside your head, he was the initial Snoke corruptions. So Snoke, if he is his own person, was co-opted around the time when Kylo got seduced, and then was like, oh, he's just my apprentice.
So will... obviously we're going beat by beat in the story, and we'll circle back.
We'll go back.
I just want you to think about this.
Yeah, go ahead.
So do you think... Which movie... Do you think Palpatine was more in control of Snoke? Was it Force Awakens Snoke or Last Jedi Snoke?
That's a trick question. Because now it's a retcon, so I have to, think about it in those terms.
Yeah.
Honestly, God, that's... Maybe Force Awakens, because he's more just general, ominous Sith. And he's like, I don't really care about Starkiller getting blown up because I have a whole fleet here in Exegol.
That's a good point.
Whereas Last Jedi is he's very bizarre, and his motive, he has bipolar disorder. Yeah. He just switches on a dime. So to me, that more indicates that in Last Jedi was Palpatine sometimes controlling him.
I could see that.
And then maybe he's like, yeah, I'll just let you die because I have no use of you now because Kylo Ren, I made him strong enough or whatever. So that's all you get though. He just says, I made Snoke, there's clones in a tank.
I'm every voice you've ever heard.
That's all you get, because Rian Johnson fucked it, so listen, you can't lie to me. J.J. Abrams admitted Palpatine is a Hail Mary. I know this was supposed to be Snoke. Snoke was supposed to be the final villain. I don't know if he was supposed to be Darth Plagueis, or if he was supposed to have clones himself, or if it was just supposed to be the same guy. But this is such fucking rushed... No, Palpatine's back. Remember Dark Empire? No, because you decanonized Legends, so no, I don't. So the common audience doesn't understand that Palpatine coming back is an established thing. He's just back. And everyone in our theater just kind of was whatever. I mean, they probably saw the trailers, but it was just, they were just kind of yeah, I accept this. And it was why? I mean, I guess because they probably haven't seen all the Star Wars movies.
Probably not,
or
honestly.
Who knows?
So Kylo Ren comes upon Palpatine and is I'm gonna fucking kill you, and then Palpatine's like, what if I gave you everything? And he
the dark side's a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural.
So for those of you,
implying that Darth Plagueis did teach him immortality.
Yeah, well, so for those of you, you fools who will say that bringing Palpatine back, it ruins Return of the Jedi because they beat him. It's no, they get to have their cake and eat it, because he says he did die.
Yes, but now he's back.
But now he's back, because the dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural. It makes sense if you don't think about it.
Because I think what JJ was trying to do is the Dark Empire thing.
Yes, absolutely.
Luke would either strike me down or I'd kill him. Either way, I win. And then it's Darth Vader did it out of love, so I wasn't able to possess him. Okay. All right.
Do you think, and I apologize, this isn't a very succinct summary and scene-by-scene breakdown.
No, we're going in extreme detail.
I'm starting to get a hit by it, but we talked about this a few days ago with the Legends stories and everything.
Yes.
Of how it would be really funny if they did the DC movies where it's oh, this is an animated adaptation of this story.
Right.
So what if Disney 2 or 3 years down the road is oh, we're doing an animated adaptation of Dark Empire, but we changed the ending to be more nebulous and make it seem like maybe Palpatine survived.
God. Well, I mean, he does come back in Dark Empire 2 and Empire's End, so it's
exactly.
But they could just adapt it and go, no, this leads into Rise of Skywalker.
So they could do one of those
Because technically they never mentioned, no, he died on the Death Star. They're just like, well, the Emperor's dead. It's like, well, he could have died in Dark Empire, couldn't he? Technically, that could still be canon.
Exactly.
And it's like, what the fuck? So then, yeah, Palpatine says, I'm going to give you everything. Then he lifts his hands, and like 100 Star Destroyers just come out of the planet's crust. Are the crews just on the ship waiting underground? Like, do they have enough food? Is Palpatine lifting them, or did he like signal the fleet? And he's just like, this is called the Final Order. And I was immediately like, oh, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, the First Order was just the beginning, and now the Final Order.
Yes.
And all of these aren't just Star Destroyers. Like, these are all Star Destroyers with a Death Star beam. Like,
it's so bad, dude.
Like, there's 100 of these, and that's lowballing it.
Yeah, lowball. I'm saying 100 to be generous. There's probably like 200.
There's like 100, but that's because it's all they can fit on fucking screen.
Yes,
it's like potentially over 1,000. All of them are planet busters.
Yes, all of them. So he could literally just take over the galaxy easily. Easier than it's ever been.
It's never been more within his grasp, honestly.
Because the stakes have to be higher than anything else. Starkiller Base, that's pussy shit. We can wipe out the entire galaxy. I don't know why you would want to, but there you go. And so
and he's like, oh, so I'll give you all of this, but you must kill Rey. Destroy the last hope of the Jedi.
This is where it becomes, and this is another hint that it's like there's obviously multiple cuts.
Yes.
Because he repeatedly says, kill her. And then he's like, you didn't kill her. Maybe you're betraying me. And then the last scene, I never wanted you dead. And it's like, you clearly, either this is the shittiest writing, or this is clearly like two cuts where he's like, no, I wanted you to bring her here. And one, but then they realized, well, we can't have her like avoiding him because then she could just go with him and meet Palpatine.
No, it's him. It's him playing all sides.
And knowing
everything that's going to happen.
I know that's what it's.
He's like, I know for a fucking fact that if I tell Kylo Ren to kill her and promise him the universe, that he's actually not going to.
I know that's what the movie's trying to say.
And as he continues to not do it, I'm going to berate him and order him that he do it more, knowing that it won't have any effect. It's
this fucking movie, dude. And so, like, yeah, and then just Palpatine, the Sith Armada, the Last Order. I will give you this if you kill her, Kylo Ren. Knowing that
You'll
won't.
Be the new Emperor.
You'll be the new Emperor. Yeah, so why didn't he just have Kylo Ren, who is in the crawl, stated to be rageful? Why didn't he have him just kill him right there and he just possess his body?
No, it has to be relative.
That's bullshit. That's complete horseshit.
I don't make the rules. It's
JJ's script. Well, go fuck yourself, because that didn't make any sense. But anyway, so next.
Talk it to me.
We cut to Rey. She's on some planet. I don't know what it is.
She's levitating and meditating. She's got rocks circling around her in a thing. Two different circles, like the Avatar state.
Wait, no, sorry. There's one other thing. Before this, we get
it's Finn and Poe.
Yeah, we get Finn and Poe trying to get a message from a traitor within the First Order, and it's just a standard TIE fighter chase where it's getting messed up. And there's like this weird alien that hasn't been introduced who looks like he looks like a Men in Black alien. This is something I wanted to bring up. Why is it that in specifically like the sequel trilogy, they use practical effects for aliens, but they look like fucking horrifying abominations?
It's because they have very weird lack of imaginations.
Like in the original series, the aliens may have been slightly like weird, but they were never like horrifying to look at.
Yeah, this random alien who's only in like 2 shots, and he's in one of the posters.
Yes, it's so weird. It's clearly like he had a bigger part, and they were like, test audiences thought he was terrifying.
But he looks like a combination of a Hutt, that alien that communicates by farts in Treasure Planet, and
he does look like that.
And that chick from Star Trek Beyond whose head opens up and
he has like spider legs on his head.
Yeah.
It's not pleasant to look at.
Yeah. But anyway, we are told one thing you'll learn, or hopefully you won't, because you won't watch this movie.
Please don't. Not until it's, available through other means.
But what you're going to notice, at least I hope you do, is that there's a lot of exposition. Characters just tell you what the state of things are, what their motivation is, what's going on. So we are just told, oh, there's a traitor from the First Order, we're getting his message. We are approximately 10 minutes in, and we are at the tail end of our second fetch quest of the movie. So, keep that in mind.
Because the first one, let's keep a track of the fetch quest. So we get the Wayfinder on Mustafar, we get this message from the traitor. We won't spoil yet because it's a great reveal.
It's something else.
And then, so one thing I will say.
Yes.
I'll say this right off the bat. Let's talk about the things this movie has going for it. Not some of the later stuff with like some of the returning characters, but overall, the humor in this movie is better than the last two.
I agree.
It's not nearly as cringy. There are cringy parts.
Absolutely.
Believe me.
It's the sequel trilogy.
But there are points where I genuinely was like, okay, that was funny. Like, that was actually amusing.
Like, I'd say the majority of C-3PO up until a certain point is very funny.
Yes, I would agree as well.
Like, he's never felt more like C-3PO in the sequel trilogy than in this movie.
And Finn and Poe, they're back and forth, and how they incorporate that with Rey feels way more natural than it did in The Force Awakens, where it felt just like anachronistic. Like in this movie, it feels like at least like, maybe I was just primed for it, but to me, I was actually kind of going, the humor is what killed The Last Jedi, because it was such a fucking like tone-deaf, serious, wannabe movie. And this movie is like, we kind of want to be more fun.
Yeah.
So to me, it worked a bit better.
Like
the humor did.
Like there's definitely moments that are very Force Awakens.
Yes.
I'd say about 65 to 70% of Finn's humor was pretty much just Force Awakens, but every now and then he had some better stuff.
Poe, but Poe was on point.
Poe is really
I think Poe is the best he's been in any of the movies.
I think, well, again, it's because it was this weird thing, starting with The Force Awakens and going throughout, was this weird encouragement to have the actors improvise whenever they could.
Yeah.
And I am willing to bet that Oscar Isaacs cashed in on that the most, and I think the first two movies just gave him enough practice to have really good ones in this movie.
Yeah, because I did like Poe in this movie. I feel like his arc was probably the most compelling in the whole fucking movie.
Like out of everything in this movie, his was the only part of the story that I wanted to see more of, not because it was lacking, but because it was so interesting.
Yeah, because like his whole shit with Lando was great.
Yeah,
I loved all that.
That was really good.
That was really good, and I was like, wow, this is making up for how shit they treated him in The Last Jedi.
And initially, when he meets the other character in the red, at first I was like, oh, this is some weird insert stuff, but then it got better and was like, oh, it's not just gonna be this really direct thing of just saying, oh, you've done bad things. You've done blah, 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 blah. It was a lot more just like, oh, there's this part of his past, and it's not because we're trying to like browbeat him. It's because, hey, characters have history. We're building up his character.
Yeah, exactly. And so then they get back, and Rey is floating with rocks around her. Again, there's a lot of moments in this where I went, this is Avatar: The Last Airbender, and this definitely made me think of that. But this is where we start getting Rey training with Leia. On one hand, it was better than I expected. It wasn't as choppy, but it was definitely like unsettling, because you could tell it was like CGI'd versions of The Force Awakens. Like they passed the saber back and forth like 3 times because they're like, we had 3 takes of this, so we need to make her role impactful in the story. So it was a bit ghoulish, but at the same time, it worked a little bit better than I had feared, which was just. But there was definitely moments where it was like, oh, her sentences are so short, and Rey has to like explain a bit extra in her lines to like give context to what Leia responds to.
Yeah, and you know what? I noticed something was off about some of her shots, and I think it just clicked in my mind what some of it was. I think that in the shots where she looks even more like there were moments where I thought her body and like her like around her head was like especially weirdly done. I bet you that those are the shots they took from Force Awakens, and then they had to CG her costume and appearance from Last Jedi to make it consistent.
Yeah. Oh shit, you're probably right.
Yeah, because they said they had leftover shots from both movies, and I was like, well, on the one hand, it's more consistent because she just looks like Last Jedi, and if they had like bounced back and forth between those 2 appearances, that would have been funny. But yeah,
there's a lot of other errors that are very funny. So
this movie is rife with unintended comedy.
So Rey gets the lightsaber from Leia and goes on the training course, and she's just like amazing because she's been there for 8 months, which at the very least, she actually got training.
Yes.
So when she pulls out force powers out of her ass, I'm at least like, well, this is better than The Force Awakens where she had no training, and The Last Jedi where she had no training and was godlike. And in this movie, she has like 8 months of training, but Kylo Ren is like doing a much better job.
Yes,
in the fight. So it's like it was such a funny like trying to make that make more sense. Like no, she could clearly not just easily beat Kylo Ren. There has to be some kind of effort.
Oh yeah, I just had an idea. I just had a thought of that for their first encounter, but I'll hold off. But yeah, so she's doing this weird obstacle course. She runs across a log and is wearing the face shields and fighting the droid, from episode 4, because that's how all Jedi train. It wasn't dumb in the prequels, and it's not dumb in this.
That's one of the worst scenes of the prequels.
Yeah, but it's weird because if they were gonna do it, at least have them like do it throughout. But it's literally just when she's passing over this chasm on this log that she puts the helmet on, and then as soon as she gets to the other side, she takes it off.
Yeah,
and it's like, well, if you can do that, why not try out the whole thing? Use the whatever. So she has to slash this like a red ribbon and then run back.
It's very Naruto.
Yeah, it's very Naruto.
But then we intercut with Kylo Ren going to the helmet of Darth Vader, and he touches it, and he sends... I don't know why touching it sends Rey a vision, because they had a strong Force connection anyway that the movie later exploits anyway.
I guess it's just...
so they could have Join Me play.
Yeah, I think it's... The most I can do is, like, I guess you see in Force Awakens that when he's talking to the helmet, it's more like meditative, so he's able to focus. It's his way of focusing his power, is what I try to interpret from it. That he is just like trying to send dark side vibes to her to fuck with her, and then communicate with her and go, "See, you're tempted by the dark side. There's darkness."
See, that was totally not from me.
Yeah, that wasn't me.
That might be what that is.
Yeah.
But and Rey is actually like kind of loses control and gets a bit. She can't really hit the droid, and she kind of gives in to like her frustration. So I will say this movie is the best Rey has been. She actually like fucks up and has conflict. I mean, she still just like easily wins, but there's moments where I was like, okay, like JJ's clearly trying to show that she can't do everything. Like she is conflicted. Whereas the previous movie was like, she's conflicted and then easily just wins and has no trouble, like, defeating Kylo Ren. It's like, well, that's stupid.
Okay.
So I will give the movie that. Unfortunately, it doesn't follow through exactly. So after that, she returns the lightsaber to Leia. And she's like, one day I'll be worthy to wield Luke Skywalker's lightsaber. And it's like, well, thank you for that, because at least you're not implying she already is.
Yeah.
And then they start this weird joke continuation of Leia saying never underestimate a droid. And I guess that was supposed to pay off with C-3PO. Like, I have no fucking clue. Or the little D-O droid. It could
be both of them.
I guess. It's very bizarre.
Well, honestly, if that is the thing, that is subtler and better storytelling and build-up than Rian Johnson gave to the theme of failure in Last Jedi.
That's true.
Because if it had been a Rian Johnson twist, when C-3PO translated the thing, or when Dio fucking revealed the fucking location of Exegol, then you would have had someone go, never underestimate a droid. But instead, like, they just let the moments happen. That's true. Because I will say, that fucking obnoxious little droid being around, I was like, oh, this thing's a piece of shit, get rid of it. And it's like, that's when you're wrong, it's one of our MacGuffins. And I was like, oh, you know what? I underestimated a droid. You specifically told me not to. So, you know what?
No, I think the sequel trilogy's always had a problem of way too many droids.
Oh, fuck yeah.
They're like, we'll have BB-8. He's basically R2-D2. What does R2-D2 do? Nothing. He literally just wakes up at the end of the movie. And in this movie, it's like, what if we added another droid? So both BB-8 and R2 get even less screen time. Yes.
Yeah.
Why would you do this?
This also, maybe this was just me.
Go ahead.
But I want to hear your thoughts. So there are characters in the original trilogy that you don't know what they're saying. You only have the character's response to sort of fill in the blank, come up with your own responses. And most of the times that works, I will say. But in this, I feel like there are so many times where we are just getting the one half of the conversation, and like their response does not give enough context to let you know what they're responding to.
It's true, because there's that bit with Chewie, like, goes, and she's like, it is. And I'm like, what does that mean?
And there's so many moments where BB-8 just like says something, and Oscar Isaac says, I agree. Or, you're right, BB-8. And, like...
Well, it's not only that, but they also made Dio have a human fucking voice to offset that.
But it's weird because I couldn't understand what he was saying half the time.
I know. That's the point.
I guess.
So it's still consistent if you can't understand it half the time.
Because his first couple things I heard, and then he like went on, and I didn't really understand. But then I'd say most of the other times, whenever I couldn't understand, it's because the fucking music was blasting, and
true.
like the audio mixing was.
So then Finn and Poe kind of go to Rey, and there's a whole thing of Rey going, "What did you do to the Falcon?" And then Poe says, "We could have used your help up there." I'm like, "You're the best pilot in the Resistance. What could she have done?"
He got kind of nerfed in this movie. Like I feel I feel like his piloting prowess was not very well on display.
No, they definitely cut that, because in Force Awakens he's like god tier.
Yeah, no, he's insane.
And in Last Jedi he helps take out a Dreadnought, which is a fleet killer. So even though Last Jedi cucks him, it's still like, well, he beat the Dreadnought.
Yeah, in Rise of Skywalker he bludgeons and pulverizes the Millennium Falcon, and then when he's flying around in the final battle, spoilers, we don't see like anything impressive happening.
No, he's just leading people.
Yeah, it's just standard dogfight.
And so then there's this weird exchange. So this was absolutely baffling. Because to me, I heard leaks that there was a love triangle. That both Finn and Poe both loved Rey. But they all tell each other at the end, and they're like, well, you know, it's fine. We'll just figure it out later.
You know what I think that sprung from? I think it is just the fact that, and this, you know, this is a theory. You know, this is me entirely just reading into people's performances and coming to my own conclusions. But I think what it is just that Oscar Isaacs is just very charismatic and just like appealing to engage with, that he like naturally draws people in. So he'll say something and you're like, oh, he's going after her. And it's like, no, it's just because he's awesome that it comes off that way.
Because they definitely still had the Finn being in love with her plot line in there.
Yeah, I'd say it was more so than even Force Awakens.
Oh, absolutely it was.
But like the first exchange between Poe and Rey is when he's like sassing her over damaging BB-8. Yeah. And you have this moment, it's this weird expression
You're
on Daisy Ridley's face. She's like, you know what you are? You're difficult. And I was like, she wants to jump that man.
Yeah, she wants to fuck him.
Oh, but that's probably not Rey. That's probably actually Daisy Ridley being over.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
So that's just a theory.
So,
a game theory.
A game theory. Thanks for watching. They're just arguing. Then we just get this scene that I was laughing so hard, where it's just like, yeah, Darth Sidious, Palpatine's back. He's been in the shadows the whole time. Or Leia says that, and it's like, you guys are just, it's just fact. Like, you guys are like, yeah, he's back. How do you know that?
Just don't think about it.
Just don't think about it. Like, and then it's like, yeah, he was behind Snoke. Are you guys going to be confused about that or something? No, they just kind of get over it. They know that he was behind Snoke the whole time. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Are you not confused why he is alive? Or how did you know he was dead? Did you just okay, there's a lot going on. And Rose Tico's like, no, I don't believe this is true. And it's like, no, and Poe's like, no, it's real. He's back. I swear to God. And it's like, this was absolutely hilarious to me. Because it was so, like, forced, like, clearly reshot.
So there's this...
And then Dominic Monaghan's like, oh, cloning, that's... The ancient Sith knew that, so that must be how he came back. You don't know that.
Yeah, there's so many old Sith things that we don't know about that only the Sith would understand. And it's like, you know, if the Legends was still canon, I'd agree, but you haven't expanded on any of that. You haven't gone, like, more than a couple of years before Episode 1 in your timeline.
And you're talking about, yeah, like, all you've introduced is Darth Bane. There's no other Sith that exist in canon.
So we have the Lucas story group overseeing new canon to ensure continuity, and
they've done a bang-up job.
You've done a bang-up job.
Nice job, guys.
But it would be so funny if, like, behind closed doors, you have, like, Disney execs and the Lucasfilm story group, and they're just like, all right, we need you guys to comb through the old canon and pick out stories that don't contradict our canon stories and recanon.
I guarantee that's gonna happen.
Like,
no, Iloquildroma is canon.
Yeah, if they're like a year or two from now, they're just like, oh, remember all those great Lost Tribe of the Sith short stories from John Jackson Miller? Yeah, they happen in this universe. Strikes the legend label off.
Yeah, strikes the... No, this is actually canon. I guarantee it's going to be something where it's like, no, Old Republic is all canon.
I was just going to...
And it's like, really?
I was just going to say, they'll be like, you know that MMO, that one Legends thing that is still ongoing even after we took control? The reason we let that happen was because we were always going to reveal that it is canon. Legends was just a joke.
I swear Legends is all a joke. It's just certain things weren't canon. It's like, go fuck yourself. That's not what you meant, you cocksuckers.
So,
but then
there's that.
Then we have this bit where Poe's like, they're gonna attack in 16 hours. Palpatine let us know that. Why would he let them know? Did he want to swing people to his side? It didn't work. He gives them a time limit, and they're just like, no, we know they're launching in like 16 hours, which means the whole movie takes place in 16 hours. And it's like, that's okay. The Millennium Falcon can get across the galaxy, but maybe in a month.
See, but that doesn't work.
Maybe in a month.
But that doesn't work because there's so many undefined time jumps.
Yes.
Where it's just like, oh, we're running to the ship, and then in the next shot, the ship is somewhere else.
Yes.
It's
like, it's so. Yeah, it's a mess.
But yeah, so the only indication we have, and again, this is me trying to paint the movie in the most forgiving light of saying, oh, they did set something up. The only thing that I can draw as to why Palpatine gave it like ultimatum time frame for his thing is that
he wanted to create stress on Rey.
No, it's dumber than that.
Oh, okay, go ahead. Then.
It's something that either Poe or Finn says. They say something along the lines of, once every free planet in the galaxy is under threat, that's when we lose.
Right.
And so my assumption is that Palpatine has like a specific number of planets he wants to target, and he's waiting until he has that exact amount of Death Star destroyers built.
Oh, that's a whole lot.
So it's like, okay, there's like 500 planets I want to target, and I have 475 of these Death Star destroyers. So, but I know the next 25 will be finished in the next 16 hours. Then we deploy.
Okay.
Like, oh shit! All right.
I mean, that's what the movie tries to do, but it wants to give us a ticking clock. Like, we have to go fight Palpatine now.
But
the whole thing is like Rey could have just gone with Kylo Ren and then fought him there. We know in the last movie there was a hyperspace tracking bracelet. Why not just wear that and everyone knows where we are? It's fine.
It's also, well, no, to be fair, she doesn't want anyone to know where she is, because she tries to leave, and then we have this really
that's even worse.
moment of Poe and Finn going like, no, we're a trio. We've always worked together. We've got each other's backs.
Even though we haven't worked together since never, actually.
The first time you were all three in the same area was the end of the last movie. But anyway.
No, and the end of the first movie.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was technically flying over Starkiller as they were inside.
Yeah, but I mean in, like, the same room.
I know.
That's what I mean.
It was the end of the last movie. But so much happened off screen. That's why it's 8 months later.
Yeah, exactly. Shit, I'm getting very inebriated.
No, it's okay.
What my point was.
Can all be fixed in editing. Just like this movie.
Nobody can.
Your face. He gets it.
Alright, let's just continue on.
No, but we get this thing where it's like, okay, I was reading in Luke's Jedi histories, the Wayfinder's listed in here, so I know that we need a Wayfinder to find Exegol. And Leia's like, no, it's too dangerous. And then Rey's like, you would do the same thing in my place. And Leia's like, I guess you're right. And she's like, okay, you're gonna go meet this guy on Pisana, this desert planet. And then she's like, I'm gonna go alone. And then everyone's like, we're gonna come with you. And then 3PO tells R2-D2, hey, if anything happens, R2-D2, you're my best friend. And it's like, please care about this relationship that's been. This is tying together all 9 movies.
I mean, that was the first scene of the movie
where I actually kind of gave a shit.
I
agree.
Like, oh yeah, I can see that C-3PO and R2-D2 care about each other. I've had 6 movies to grow that friendship. I haven't even had one for everyone else, but you know.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it's so offset. And then. God. Then Leia gives Rey Luke's lightsaber again, and then they head out. And then we cut to the scene where they're welding together Kylo Ren's helmet, which is the perfect metaphor for this movie.
And it looks really shitty, much like JJ trying to patch this franchise up.
It looks really bad.
Because you know what's really strange about the helmet being fixed?
What?
The red cracks are only over the black sections. Like, for some reason, they were able to immaculately, perfectly recreate all the silver portions.
Even though I know that he smashed one of the silver portions because it was bending in the last movie, but yeah.
I guess maybe the silver portions were able to be melted and reforged, whereas the black portions couldn't.
I suppose that's what it means.
I don't know.
J.J. Abrams is literally just doing this as a fuck you to Rian Johnson. And, I understand. I understand that impulse.
But you know what And you'll have to forgive me.
And the Knights of Ren are here.
The Knights of Ren are here. They're part of the... I thought one of them was doing the reforging, but it's this weird alien.
Yeah, he's got a beard.
And he, is smirking. And, you can just... it's so brief, but you can tell this weird dark side blacksmith really enjoys his work.
Oh, absolutely.
I might be stitching shots together. This might be later. But we have Kylo getting his mask reforged. And then we see, a Boys in the Crew shot of him leading the Knights through a hallway of a Star Destroyer.
It could only be in slow motion to make it better.
Yeah, exactly. I was really hoping and disappointed because you see this shot where they're coming around a corner and you see around the corner, you see a group of stormtroopers. I really wanted to see a shot of them shaking and pissing themselves and shoving against a wall to clear out.
Yeah, getting out of the way. Mm.
But
they have to take away stuff from the Knights of Ren.
Yeah. They're such rich characters.
Yes.
So we have them walking down this hallway, going somewhere in a space station or spaceship, and then it cuts to Kylo in a meeting with all these people at a table.
And the Knights of Ren aren't there.
Yes. And I assumed for a second that the people at the table were Knights of Ren.
Yes.
All without their masks, and I was like, oh shit, this is when we establish their characters.
No, fuck you.
No,
that's not what we do.
They are just a moment of episode 4 where we have all these higher ranking imperial military officials all joining
and
up
one of them
talk.
questions the Dark Lord's religion and power, and then he suffers for it.
We did that,
and instead of him just choking him, he throws him to the ceiling. It's so much more epic. Go fuck yourself.
See, when Kylo turned and did a force choke, I was like, if he stays if it's small, if it's just that, then that's really good.
Yeah.
But he throws him up against the ceiling, and it's just that
bigger and better.
You know what's the really strange thing about that is that feels like a Force Awakens thing of Kylo being super pissed and over the top and explosively angry. But he doesn't have any meme shouting lines in this movie.
No, he does not.
He's very composed. So it was very off-putting. He doesn't even scream and get meme in that scene. He shoves him against the ceiling and he very calmly says,
"We're gonna go find the scavenger."
Yeah,
it's supposed to show character development, Nathan. You just haven't been paying attention.
I disagree.
He's so much more calm. Don't you understand? Once he killed Snoke, he was in control.
Actions speak louder than words. His actions seem very...
But also we have Hux here, and Richard E. Grant, who, his name was General Pride, and I'm like, can you think of a shittier name for a bad guy?
Snoke.
You got me there.
But I don't know. We didn't talk about it, but for me, every time Richard E. Grant said something or was on screen, I had fun. I knew it was shit, but I had fun.
I knew it was shit, but I had fun. He was clearly enjoying himself.
I love Richard E. Grant.
Yeah, he's a classic.
Yeah, no, he's his casual disdain in any role he plays is just delightful.
Yeah, and he is dogging General Hux. Sorry. He's not a general anymore, but he's dogging Hux and Commander. And he's just like, I have beef with you. And it's like, this does not make sense with any of the previous movies. I don't know who you are. Because we find out later he was an original Palpatine loyalist from the fucking Clone Wars or some shit. Or the Imperial Armada. And it's like, oh, I really wish he had been in the previous movies.
I was going to say, do you think that he was in JJ's version of episode 8 and he just forgot that this character hadn't been built up?
It's possible. Because we do have that guy in Last Jedi who's trying to kill Poe.
Yeah.
And he's not anybody. He doesn't show up in this movie.
That's true.
So I think maybe that was supposed to be Richard E. Grant in an original draft.
I guess.
He was the only other Imperial who was giving orders besides Hux in The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Besides Snoke, I guess.
But it's very weird, and I guess if we're going through what his character goes through in the first 2 movies, it makes sense. But
what, Hux?
Hux, I feel like he's very emasculated in this movie because he's
emasculated in every movie after The Force Awakens.
Yeah,
but listen.
Way.
No, but listen. Hux was this super compelling speaker advocating this Nazi ideology and blowing up these planets, and that's a symbol of power. And the subsequent movies are yeah, but we can't show someone who's actually an effective leader who's a Nazi. Basically, he has to be a buffoon. And it's in this movie, it's well, he's a traitor, but it's for extremely petty reasons. And it's well, that's not really the arc I expected for him to just die like that. I thought he was going to be instrumental in the fall of Kylo Ren.
No.
But I was wrong. No.
No, he's just... Oh my god. He's just one of the MacGuffins.
He is literally a MacGuffin. Who's the spy? It's Hux. Then he just dies. As soon as he gives us what we need, he dies.
Yeah, it's like, oh shit, we've all been captured by the First Order. This is like, there's absolutely no hope for escape. I'm the hope. Dies. Oh, alright. Well,
he is literally a Deus Ex Machina. Deus Ex Machina.
So we have the meeting scene. Ooh, give me some of this.
I'm giving some of this.
If you can't tell, people watching, I'm
just trying to get you there.
I'm getting very inebriated.
Good.
So no, I know you are too. You've had more than I have.
Oh boy, yeah.
So what happens after the scene with
Kylo
and his generals?
So after that scene,
is that when they get to the desert planet?
That's when they get to the desert planet. It's not Jakku, not Tatooine. How many desert planets are there in the fucking Star Wars universe?
All of these planets are, they're just far too close to their respective suns, but none of them are the same area.
They come there, and so the whole thing this movie tries to do is go, no, Luke tried looking for Exegol. Why? Did he know Palpatine was alive?
Yes. I mean, Leia did. So.
It's so bad! He's like, no, I was looking for Exegol and I didn't tell anybody else. The only reason Rey found out was I wrote it in my fucking diary. And it's like, what? Why didn't you let anybody know that Palpatine might be alive or the Sith might be active on Exegol? Because the only reason he would look for Exegol is if there was a threat on Exegol. It's so bad!
Again, what I take that as... you are correct. It's very bad, and it's not good.
Yes. Yeah.
But what I think, the mentality, JJ, I'm trying real hard to be the shepherd. I'm trying to meet you halfway. What I think,
go on,
was that was one of JJ's attempts of going, no, Luke didn't just give up.
Yes.
Fuck off like the Last Jedi.
He didn't just sit on his ass.
Stupid. No, he was working.
He was actively trying to save the galaxy. He did take that X-wing out and try to explore.
Or you could take it as like Luke was in the midst of his research into Sith shit and trying to find this planet. Mm-hmm. That's why he was like caught off guard and without his defenses when Kylo started going bad. That's why he made a snap decision, because he was too like caught up in this hunt to eliminate the last shred of evil in the galaxy.
Yeah, sure, yeah. That's probably what it's trying to say.
But unfortunately, the execution is so shitty that instead it's just like, that's stupid.
They just say like, oh, this is the last spot Luke was before he went to Ahch-To, presumably, where the map somehow came into being, but we're not going to get into that. And they go there. And then we get one of the best scenes in the movie, which is fucking Lando Calrissian.
Yeah.
Like, every scene Billy D. Williams is in, I'm like, oh my god, you're making the sequel trilogy good.
He was so much better than I expected.
Mm-hmm.
He was like if you gave Bail Organa in Rogue One something significant to do, even if it is like just a little bit bigger.
Yeah, just a bit bigger.
Role, and he gets to talk more and be like, hey, you guys remember the first movies? I was great friends with these people. Like, we had some hard times. And I'm like, I remember.
No, I was actually feeling caught up in that bit where he was talking about, no, listen, like, we didn't know what we were doing. We just did our best, and we had each other, and we saved the galaxy. I'm like, fuck yeah. That is something I will support, is like going, no, the OT didn't happen because we were all destined for it. We were just like, we had the power of each other helping us. And it's like, oh boy, yeah.
Yeah.
So like Billy D. Williams was like bringing some magic back into it where I was like, oh my god, like this is actually like better than The Force Awakens had some good Han scenes. So the funny thing is about this movie is every time they bring back someone from a previous movie,
aside from Carrie Fisher.
Yeah, aside from Carrie Fisher, aside from the ending.
Oh, oof.
But when they brought back Lando, and they brought back Luke, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
And Han, I was like, wow, those are all really good scenes. Because they are not affected by the plot that happens outside them, really. Palpatine doesn't just go, oh yes, I used Han Solo to manipulate you. It's like, no, he just has a vision of Han Solo. That's good. People are complaining because it's like, well, no, but he's a Force ghost. And it turns out he's kind of just a vision, like Kylo Ren just sees him. I'm like, you know what? No, like, this is actually one of the best scenes of the movie. Like, I'll accept this.
It really is.
Because it's like that bit where, like, well, we're not there yet, but when Kylo Ren just does a subversion of the original Force Awakens killing Han scene, I'm like, that's good payoff. Like, that's actually good payoff for that scene in The Force Awakens.
Like, imagine if you will, we're kind of sauce, so I apologize for all these rabbit trails. We're almost we're over an hour in.
Yeah, we can keep going. This movie is too long anyway.
Yeah. But imagine, I want you to think for a minute and picture all of the good scenes, all of the good shots in this movie. That's what you have to work with.
Okay.
And you have to make a trailer for the movie. It would look like such a calm and focused character study.
Yes.
Just focusing on, this is all about facing your inner demons and overcoming, recent hardship that was shadowing this wonderful past that you had. That's what this movie's going to be very. No, that's not what it is.
No, it's not at all. This is a fucking action movie, dude.
These scenes do not reflect the rest of the movies. They are the exception to the setup. But yeah, the Lando scene is great. It was really weird leading up to it. We have this really great setup for a payoff towards the end of the movie. I appreciate it.
I really do.
Where one of these weird aliens, they're all doing like this weird alien recreation of the big music number in the live action Aladdin movie.
Oh God, you're right.
Where it's just like, what if they're all in like light blue, dark purple, or pinkish clothes and doing like this dance in the desert? And it's like, I'm wise to your act. But we have one of these aliens gives Rey a necklace and goes, I'm this person.
I was just getting to that.
I'm this person. I can't remember her name because who fucking cares?
Who cares?
She's like, and who are you? And she's like, I'm Rey. And to be fair, at least they're fucking using C-3PO to translate, and it's not just Rey understands everyone and everything.
Thank God they did that. Yes.
But they're like, who are you? I'm Rey. Rey who? I'm nobody.
I'm nobody because of The Last Jedi. Go fuck yourself.
Well, again, so the thing is, so we watched through we watched through all the Star Wars movies to prep for this.
Did, yes. Even the Ewok ones, even the holiday special.
And again, with the sequel trilogy, we fucking tried to enjoy it.
Force Awakens was like the closest where we were like, we're trying real hard to like this, and it just didn't work.
So the thing about this trilogy is we have this mystery in the first one, and it's a very small mystery. Like it's not browbeating of who's Rey's parent. Like who is this person? And the end of the Force Awakens, I feel like this might stir up dumber fans, but the end of Force Awakens does answer the question.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't fucking matter.
Yes,
your parents could be anyone.
Anybody.
This is your story. It's fine.
Yeah,
like
I liked that.
By the end of the movie, the interpretation I got was that Rey was satisfied.
Yes,
she had found her place in the galaxy.
That's totally what it is.
Then The Last Jedi goes, no, I really want to know who my parents are. This is this desperate mystery that's been driving me my whole life. Who are my parents? Where are my parents? What happened to my parents? And then the end of the movie is, it doesn't matter. Your parents are no one.
They were junk traders. They traded you for liquor.
Okay, so you gave a more definitive answer, but a shittier answer to what we got in the last movie.
Yeah, The Force Awakens in this sense was the best because I felt like, no, it doesn't matter.
And then this movie, once again, goes, no, you're this person. How can you live with that?
Well, that also makes me realize that, like, even if JJ got to do his perfect trilogy, I still would have hated it.
Yes.
Because, like you said, The Force Awakens totally threw that aside and said, well, it doesn't matter, you have a new family.
Well, although...
And then this movie, if it had been as JJ envisioned it, I feel like it would have been the same. No, there's somebody who your grandfather is. And I don't know if, like, that was... See, I don't know if that was a new addition because originally, again, I believe Palpatine was never in the picture, it was always Snoke.
Yes.
So if Snoke was her grandfather, I guess that could still work, but I don't know if that's an original thing. Or if she was always Palpatine's granddaughter, but then Snoke was like, no, that's who you are. It could have been either one of those. Yeah.
But yeah, so we have this moment of, I'm Rey, no bone. That's not going to come back.
No, never.
They meet Lando, and Lando was like, I went on this adventure with Luke.
This is when the movie starts to get really fucking confusing.
Yes.
This is when the movie is, like, obvious that there are multiple cuts. So we get this thing where they're like, oh shit, that guy who was a Jedi hunter, who is not an Inquisitor, he's just a Jedi hunter. Luke and Lando were tracking him, and his ship's still just on the outskirts. Like, no one's touched it, no one's altered it, even though this is, like, a universe where on desert planets we have seen scavengers take everything.
And we've seen that this desert has weird quicksand that does things and takes things. But I guess in all, however fucking long, we don't fucking know when this adventure, this search happened.
No, we don't.
But it seems to be years before.
Absolutely.
Actually,
has to be at least fucking 8 years.
Actually, no, fuck. Regardless of when Luke and Lando were looking for this.
Yes.
This ship that they find, we know for a fact, crashed on this, or landed on this planet right after the Rey's flashback as a child in Force Awakens. So it's been like at least 15 years on this planet.
Yes.
Christ on a cracker.
Yeah, it's real bad. It's horrible. And we get this whole subplot of, here's this Jedi hunter, and then we get to him, we get to his ship, we almost get into quicksand, and we doing all this shit. And then we find the Sith dagger. Now, the Sith dagger at first, I was like, well, maybe it's the fucking Captain Jack's compass from Pirates of the Caribbean. The Sith runes will change to whatever the current location is. But then later, no, there is a fucking thing that pops out that points where in the fucking Death Star 2 the Wayfinder is. I'm like, how does it just pop out and then you guide it to where it actually is? And I have no clue how this dagger works.
It turns out the dagger was shaped to be like a puzzle piece with one of the wrecked ship parts of the second Death Star that is somehow intact and on Endor. And if you put it there and then pull this thing out of...
For some reason it's called Ochi's dagger. I don't know what that means. Is that Ochi is the Jedi hunter?
Yeah, Ochi's the Jedi.
Why does he have a Sith dagger that points to the Wayfinder? Go on. Go ahead.
Because the Wayfinder, you see, leads to other Sith. Ochi is a Jedi killer. So the dagger is his last ditch effort of when it's like, hey, your purpose, your the reason you exist in this galaxy is to kill Jedi, and if you have trouble killing Jedi, the best way to kill Jedi is with a Sith. So I'll tell you where the other Sith is. You gotta go get him, and then you can.
Why didn't they make this an Inquisitor? They already put them in Jedi Fallen Order. Come on. Come on! What is this?
I think it's because...
Why does the random guy know the location of Exegol?
I think it's because JJ thinks the Inquisitor in canon are as stupid as I think they are. So he's like, no, disregard it. They just have basically bounty hunters, but they're Sith.
Yeah, so they fall in the quicksand. The First Order is coming. They fight them a little bit. Yeah, there's the bit in the trailer that was going dun 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 dun, but the Duel of Fates never plays in this movie. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, they have like weird actual dirt bikes.
Yes.
That catapult flying troopers in the air.
That was so fucking funny. That was hilarious.
We were planning. We're drinking it now.
Yeah.
But we had a nice big old flask of alcoholic eggnog liqueur.
Yeah.
That we were gonna smuggle in, and how just fun would that scene have been to just be a little tipsy and just see an actual dirt bike, like one of the first, like
this makes me feel tipsy anyway. I feel like I was just laughing and having a great time the whole time, but not for the reasons the movie wanted me to. I was always just laughing and like contempt.
God, that bike would have been a perfect fucking fit in Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh my god, I was totally thinking that. I thought of like the people floating on the thing swinging back and forth. I totally thought Mad Max the whole time. It was absolutely bizarre.
But so I have to ask.
Go ahead.
I have to ask. So there's two dirt bikes that have two troopers each, and it catapults one of them up into the air, and they have a jetpack to double the fact
they fly now.
They fly now. Why? What? To what purpose do you not have the driver also have a jetpack? Like, just in case something happens.
Nope.
You need quick deployment.
Nope.
No.
He doesn't. Just the guy on the back.
He doesn't. And so Rey, they get split up. Rey fucking nukes one of them because she's Rey. I forget how she beats that one.
Is she? It's a kind of force thing, and then she shoots the thing in the air.
Yeah. Oh wait. Oh no. That was technically a BB-8 one.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
broke a canister that let out a bunch of gas.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, fuck! I need to, I'm sorry, I need to circle back.
No, go ahead.
So when they're doing the Alien Aladdin dance number, and the group are wandering through, looking around for whatever.
Yeah.
It's really weird, because there was this shot, and I feel like it was very focused on how in this dancing party thing, this giant, orgy of dance rituals, there are these canisters that are just letting out gas. So there are these canisters all throughout this area that are just letting off this yellow gas. And I was like, oh shit, is this going to be like some weird trippy sequence where all of them get put into like a meditative
This isn't
state?
Midsummer. Get out of here, dude.
That's what I thought, but no, apparently it's just colorful, I guess.
Yeah.
So BB-8 busts one open and creates a smoke screen, and one of the troopers crashes. And then the other one, so Finn throws one of the classic standard issue for every vehicle in every movie ever. The chain and rope that is on the end of everything. He throws it out.
And it circles, loops around the wheel.
Yeah, he throws it out behind them, right in front of the bike. And the bike wheel snatches it up, and it twists around until there's none left, and then Poe cranks a hard left, and it crashes into the wall. I don't think that's how that works.
Well, I think you just are paying too much attention to... You're nitpicking. You're not paying attention to the strengths of this movie, personally.
I mean, I'm just saying, out of all of the elements in a Star Wars movie, I feel like a wheel is pretty understandable. Like, no. there's a direct comparison.
Yeah, but it's different. Things. It's an alien world. Why are you questioning it?
It just... I've never in my life seen a wheel drive over, like, a string... and like a big rope,
and then pull it up around
it. It's like it must have just insane fucking traction. But if it grabs that much, it would
grab anything under it.
We'd be burrowing into the sand.
Yeah,
but I guess the visual was cool, and it's nice to see Finn's just careless disregard for Stormtrooper life as he slaughters them with a whoop.
This is something I want to say right now.
Yes,
and this cannot wait. I fucking hate Disney Star Wars because Force Awakens, our character, ostensibly our main character, is a former stormtrooper.
Yes.
And a stormtrooper dies in front of him. He cares so much about that life. He's like, holy shit, I'm not going to shoot these civilians. I'm disobeying orders. I am not with the First Order. I'm getting individuality. And then later, just in that movie, and in the following movies, he just kills people who might be child soldiers. They don't know any better. They're innocents, basically. He just kills them and he cheers.
We're actually, in this movie, we're introduced to other people who are confirmed to have been conscripted
Yes,
from
it's not just one. You can't play it like, oh, stormtroopers dying is great. They're probably child soldiers. They're brainwashed. We've seen other people who break free of the conditioning. Is this really moral?
Every stormtrooper you've killed... You are denying someone who is in a similar position to you to get redemption.
Yes.
It's fucking off.
Why would you make a series that is built on the idea of moral ambiguity and then just go, we're a fun Star Wars movie like Episode 4, it's an adventure, it's for kids. No, you introduced the idea of the mooks being fucking people and you just left that. Why? But you can't defend that. If you love these movies, you can't defend that. They purposely turn away from the moral ambiguity that is the core of one of the main characters.
Because we get almost no real serious reference to it in Last Jedi. He makes a joke of how I was a janitor on this
they purposely skip over that.
And in this, all you get is like the scene where they're all confronting each other, and you have Poe going, "Weren't you a stormtrooper?" And it's like, oh, that's all we got. But we'll circle back to that. It is actually a good scene. But,
I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so again, just fucking mourning the waste of potential in Finn, but I guess that's consistent with the rest of the trilogy.
It's absolutely consistent. Finn should have been the main fucking character, have a black lead, former stormtrooper, force sensitive. That is the riskiest fucking character you could do in this political climate, and you refuse because we have to fulfill Kathleen Kennedy's orgasm fantasy.
No, but Joe, he's kind of force sensitive.
Yeah, as this movie establishes, because they didn't do that in the first two. But anyway, Rey just does this thing she does the whole movie. Oh, I just left when none of you were looking, and I'm walking in the desert, and then Kylo Ren's... We see the Knights of Ren, And then we see Kylo's TIE Interceptor come in.
Well, first they get they fall into quicksand. And
right.
They find this dagger in this underground chasm.
There's a snake.
There's this giant snake that is like, I'm gonna eat you, and for some reason I'm not attacking immediately. I'm threatening you for a very extended period of time. And then Rey's like, oh, wait a minute. I can see that this thing isn't evil and wants to eat us and is, this aggressive monster.
Yes.
It's just hurt. And so I force healed it. I poured some of my life energy and force into it.
We gotta establish this now.
Yeah, we gotta establish this now. There's also lots of funny banter in this chasm.
I liked the joke where she turns on the lightsaber and then Poe turns on the flashlight. And it's like, I'm gonna go with that. There was plenty of points in this movie where I'm like, you know what, movie? I will give you that if you can pay, like, you can make a good movie.
Yeah.
And they didn't, but I gave them a fucking chance. Like, that bit with the flashlight, that was funny. That was funnier than anything in the last two movies.
Yes.
By far. Easily. So I will give the movie that. Yeah. I will give it that. But she heals the thing, and we set up, you have to give your force energy to heal something. Rey doesn't really get any, like, physical deformities, but she healed the snake, and her hand kind of hurts. We're setting that up.
And then they find the Sith dagger. 3PO's like, oh, I translated it, but I'm restricted from revealing what it says.
And they kind of don't make it clear if it's the old or New Republic who banned him from reading Sith language, which you think would be helpful.
He gets cut off, saying that it's some decree from the Senate.
But that implies that he knew that from the beginning, that was one of his million languages and they banned it, which is horrifying.
Yes.
Because it's like, why did Anakin know the Sith language when he was a fucking 9-year-old kid?
No, he downloaded, he illicitly torrented the Sith dictionary and programmed it into 3PO. It's not like he read
honestly
himself. So we have that. They have the dagger, and then they find the ship because they were trying to get to the ship. They went into quicksand. Under the quicksand, they found a speeder from the guy who was trying to get back to the ship that they're trying to get back to, Ochi. And he died.
Convenient.
And then they get to the ship, and then Rey's like, I sense something, and like wanders off in a really obviously disconcerted way. And they're searching through the ship, and this is when I feel like the movie really starts to go like, hey, Finn's really interested in Rey. He's really concerned about her.
He wants to fuck her.
Forget about The Last Jedi. We're building off of The Force Awakens.
Yeah, fuck Rose. She's not in the movie. It's all about Rey.
Oh, yeah. I was gonna... keep circling back.
No, it's totally fine. It's totally fine.
So there's a plot point that gets set up and referenced repeatedly in the movie that doesn't get a solid payoff. And compared to all the shit we're going through...
Go on.
It seems like, a small thing that I'm poking fun at. But as they're getting pulled into the quicksand, it looks like they're gonna die.
Yeah,
that's totally how we'll kill off everyone. As Finn is going under, he's like, Rey, I have to tell you, and then he gets sucked down, and it's like, oh, is he gonna reveal that he loves her? And then when they're under the chasm, they're like, oh, hey, what were you gonna say? And he's like, oh, nothing. I'll tell you later.
And then Poe's like, when I'm not around, and it was like, oh god, Oscar Isaac is on the attack with his improv.
Yeah, and then later when they're spoilers about to be executed, Poe is like, hey, what was it you were going to tell? It's like, hey, remember this really important thing?
Never comes back. Never
fucking tells her anything.
The leaks lied to me. The leaks told me there was a love triangle between these three and that they were going to like be mutually like maybe threesome potential.
Actually. Oh, shit.
But they don't do it!
No, oh shit, you know what it is? It's a combination of two things.
Yes!
One, it's the first thing I said, where it's Oscar Isaac being incredibly charismatic and appealing and attractive, and Daisy Ridley just getting caught up in that. That's where you get the Poe X Rey. And Finn and Rey is how it's actually written. He's interested in her, going after her. But again, it's Oscar Isaac being in the Force Awakens mentality where he's like, yeah, every scene I'm interacting with Finn, I'm going for romantic. Like, he's in love with him.
There's so much, like, you should have just gotten them together. You have a gay kiss at the end of the movie, and it's not them?
You have this random
and it's not them?
Kiss.
Well, because one of the chicks is from The Last Jedi.
I know, I don't give a shit.
But why didn't you give me the fucking... Do you know how surprising that would have been? That would have been like, wow, you have fucking balls.
And imagine.
Can you imagine that?
And imagine at the end, like, I imagine the Poe Finn kiss being like very, very, like, chaste and
yes.
casual, so it's not like a big dramatic like swirl.
No, it's a very like
it's just like a hey, we did it. And then just like, yeah, fuck yourselves.
Yeah, no, that would be so good. But the movie doesn't do that because they don't have balls. Because this movie is very safe.
This movie's safe, but it's very
I know.
insane.
It's an insane fucking movie. So Rey goes out, does the jumping spin, cut Kylo Ren's interceptor. He's like, oh shit, I didn't realize she had a lightsaber even though I saw it. Yeah. And the Knights of Ren kidnapped Chewbacca.
Yeah, so I need
to just show up.
So I need to go over this with you.
Yes, go ahead.
So when Rey leaves in her very obviously distracted way, and Finn is obviously very concerned, we have them searching through the old dusty ship, and it's awful and terrible. And then Finn looks out the window and sees Rey wandering off.
Yes.
He doesn't see anything else. It's not like he sees people... It's not like he sees the First Order flying in. He just sees Rey. And then he immediately goes, Chewbacca, tell Rey we gotta go. And it's like, what? Is it because he thinks she's in danger? And then Chewbacca goes out, because apparently they don't have comm links. It's not like
they don't have comm links.
But Chewbacca goes out. He doesn't even... Oh, no. It's because... So he's wandering down, and he's just shuffling along, just like... sees how fucking far he has to go to talk to Rey. He's like, oh, fuck. And then it pans over, and you see, like, 2 or 3 Knights of Ren just, like, peeking behind
They're just like, ooh, we're gonna get ya. We're gonna get ya, Wookiee.
Oh, shit. And then... Again, I don't think they find anything of significance in the ship until they get Rey.
No, they don't.
But then Finn is like, oh, it's taking Chewbacca forever. I gotta go check it out. And then he goes. He sees Chewbacca getting loaded up on this transport ship by stormtroopers.
Not the Knights of Ren.
Not the Knights of Ren. They're like, I think there's 2 of them, like, close.
Yeah, there's like 2 of them off in the
they're
side.
Just like chatting, but the stormtroopers are entirely overseeing the prisoner transport.
Yes.
And you see the one in front of Chewbacca with the Sith dagger, holding it out so that,
it's like, do you get it? Look, sir, droids.
And also what was really funny to me was when they loaded Chewbacca up, you have this guy with a giant cattle prod. Just ready. And Chewbacca turns around, and rather than zapping him and being like, look, he's tortured, he's being imprisoned by these terrible people, he just nudges him with the staff, and it's like, he's a Wookiee. He could have torn your head off before you had time to react.
And the terrifying thing is we get this scene where a transport ship goes up ostensibly with Chewbacca, but because shitty storytelling, it's a different transport that he's on. But this transport goes up, and then Rey's like, no, I'm fucking pulling it down, like using the Force, and then Kylo Ren's like, I walked out of the fire of that TIE interceptor, I'm so badass. And then he starts pulling it.
Yeah, after you cut off one of my wings, the other one crashed, and then my ship spun horrifically into another horrific crash. I came out and I'm fine. And for some reason, when he was flying up to her, he was wearing his helmet. But then he's not. He's just
then he takes it off,
Oh, God. Do you think...
Go on.
Do you think that's that's how they covered up 2 of the different cuts and versions of the movies they had, where we were like, oh, we shot a version of the film where he was almost entirely Kylo Ren, always wearing his mask, everything.
Always, yeah.
But then we had a lot of other scenes and a different version when we did rewrites and reshoots where it's just Adam Driver without the mask. And then we were like, well, we have to use a little of both. So we see him flying.
I think there was points where they CGI'd the helmet on.
Yes,
absolutely.
Helmet, or when he's holding it and just has it. I'm like,
because there's that one trailer where he's like flying the TIE interceptor at her, and we just see the gloves. We don't see the helmet. So I'm like, we don't know if that was just Adam Driver or if he had the helmet on.
Yeah,
you know.
But so they once again get into this Force tug of war, and I think to me, looking back on it, this is one of our first indicators that JJ is trying to go, oh no, Rey's not all powerful.
Yes.
That was actually better.
No, that was absolutely... It felt jarring because in the previous movie she was so capable. Yeah. In this movie she loses control and it was more interesting.
Yeah.
But like I said, Rey's the best she's ever been.
Yeah.
But it's still just like, what the fuck?
But we have this tug of war, and I'm thinking about it now. Every time Rey pulls it back, it's very small pull.
Yeah.
And whenever Kylo pushes it, it very clearly gets farther away. She is very clearly losing ground.
Yeah.
And then she loses control and zaps it and blows it up. And you're like, oh no, I killed Chewbacca.
I killed Chewbacca. And they try to play this for drama for 2 minutes.
For two fucking minutes.
Honestly, I given how fucking crazy this movie is, I would rather you just kill Chewbacca. He does nothing the rest of the movie.
He does nothing. He doesn't.
The whole rescue Chewbacca thing is the most contrived fucking shit. Clearly different cuts. I have to believe this is different cuts warring with each other. But she uses lightning, and that's supposed to be going, oh shit, she's a Palpatine. Oh, they set it up. And it's like, Kylo Ren can't even do Sith lightning. And he's been in the dark side for literal almost decades now. Yes. Like about a decade.
Yes.
And it's like, no, he can't do it. But Rey, she's a Palpatine, so Palpatines can use it more. And then Palpatine says this line later where he's like, it's our blood. Dude, you were the first Chancellor. No one of your blood was important enough to be the Chancellor. Go fuck yourself.
No, but he was born a king, so it was
okay. All right, I appreciate it. I really do.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you ever see someone look at you the way Joe just looked at me now, know that person is plotting your death.
That's true.
That person sees you and just thinks, this is someone I need to slaughter.
It's a sin. But then they meet up with, oh shit. This is when they go to the fucking planet to get C-3PO's ability to read the dagger because the Republic restricted it.
And this is one of the most jarring cuts.
Yeah, it's so bad.
Is we see the trio, we see the group board the ship that's been crashed on this planet for 15 fucking years.
Yep.
And hasn't been damaged or looted or raided. Oh my god, you have another full bottle.
No, it's all good. That's all fucking great.
I'm gonna get very drunk tonight.
That's all good.
So I need to drink.
Oh yeah. That's good, isn't it?
So we see them all pile onto this ship in the desert. We don't really see them take off very far. It just cuts to the ship being like in this kind of asteroid-looking field.
Yes.
Already landed, and then
fuck.
Oh, we need to go to this place. And then we see the ship fly to the planet where the next section of the story takes place. And it's so jarring because, again, this is what I was going to bring up. So we have the 16-hour deadline. But we only get the one reference. They never tell us how much is time.
There's less time now.
Like, as JJ, as fucking cliche as using a countdown to build suspense, if you have a countdown,
use it.
Don't just give an amount of time. You have to let us know how much time has passed so the tension can build.
Yeah, if you just start out the tension with this, it's never going to move from that because we don't know. To our point of view, it's only been an hour and a half. You need to keep saying, oh no, it's actually 4 hours until he launches the Death Star Star Destroyers. Yeah. And it's like, oh shit, he's going to launch them and we have to hurry up. No, that's in here.
No, it's just like, hey, 16 hours. How much time has passed? I don't know. It doesn't matter. I don't know. Oh shit, yeah, there's the time. I forgot. Okay, finale.
So then there's this bit where we go to the planet, this new planet, because we keep jumping.
Yes.
And it's like, no, listen, Zori is here, and she knew Poe from when he was a spice runner, so he was a criminal.
Oh yeah,
and there's
yeah. They first set this up on the third desert planet of the franchise.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. Well, one for each trilogy.
Go fuck yourself.
Well, except that two of them have one, and then one of them has two.
Yeah, go fuck yourself.
But so we have this shot where we see Poe hot wiring one of the spears they use to escape the stormtroopers. And Finn is immediately just like, I know how to do that. And to me, it was like...
Well, I leaned over to you and said if Rey had done this, they wouldn't have questioned that.
Yeah, there was that. And I was also thinking, this felt like one of those weird old married couple bickering moments.
Yep.
I'm just like, this is what you do? And it's like, please just put these people together.
No, we have to have relationships that make them no homo.
Maybe one of the extended universe will be the ones to be like, oh no, they're gay, they love each other.
Maybe. I think they had their first characters in an expanded universe novel.
Yeah.
So
I think you're right. But yeah, so there's that, and then they go to this planet. There's this chick wears a very nice tight suit.
Yeah.
With a I liked the design of her helmet. It was a little weird.
I did too.
It was like pointy in the back.
I was definitely feeling Emphas Nest from Solo.
Very Emphas Nest from Solo.
Yeah, I'm sure just made it her.
Which is funny, because I heard when this movie was, when they started announcing shit for this movie, they made this big stink about this chick character that they were adding on, the black chick. It was like, oh yeah, she's an old friend of Poe's, and she has this connection to Lando Calrissian. I was like, oh, is it this chick? But no, it's Kerry Russell, who I know she's done better things and better things. The only thing I can remember from is Bedtime Stories, that Adam Sandler.
Oh, that's dark when you have to use Adam Sandler in positive.
Yeah, but for those of you that don't know, Kerry Russell is white, so it's not this character, and she barely takes her helmet off. So I don't know why I felt the need to bring that up. I think I had a point, but
I understand.
Oh, because emphasis, but she isn't a black chick.
Yes, she just kind of is mixed race.
There is a black chick who's in this movie, but she's a much smaller role. Even though Kerry Russell is so small a role, I can't. Zuri,
yeah. Zori, whatever.
Yeah,
Zori is what it is. But it's basically this thing where like this fucking midget alien, who I remind you, all the aliens on this are fucking nightmare fuel.
Yeah.
But he's like, no, listen, we can override 3PO's programming so he can read the Sith language even though he's banned, but he might lose all his memory, even though like they hint several times R2-D2 as a backup. And they're like, oh shit, to read this to find out where the Wayfinder is, so the Wayfinder will find Palpatine. It's a MacGuffin on top of a MacGuffin. It's fine because 3PO is just gonna come back.
See, when 3PO, so we have this conversation between BB-8 and 3PO. And it's one of the only times where you understand what BB-8 is saying, because C-3PO provides the context.
Yes.
But BB-8 goes, and C-3PO is like, oh yes, but R2's memory logs are
very unreliable.
Very unreliable. And for a fucking second, because I read the leaks.
I read the leaks too.
I thought that was from an earlier cut that they made a joke of not doing because everyone found out about it.
Right.
And I was like, I get it. You were going to do that, but now you dropped him. And it's like, no, he restored him. So there's no consequences.
There's no consequences for this movie. Aside from Kylo Ren dying, but he was evil as shit. Spoiler alert.
No, but he wasn't in the end.
He wasn't. No, he was. Except when he was the light side because he faded to the Force. Go fuck yourself.
And then his mom did, even though she died like a few
We're
hours
gonna get there.
Him.
We're gonna fucking get there.
We're making our way through.
We're making our way. So Zori, and Poe are like, oh, I remember when you were a spice freighter guy. And Poe's like, no, listen, I can't run from this fight. You have to join me. And she's like, no, even though I understand the good, I'm going to give you a first order captain's medallion, which gets you past any blockade. And I'm like, why do they not check identity with fucking cameras that we do in the real world?
That's too much time. They have 100,000
They just have to
ships.
check the medallion. Fucking brilliant.
Yeah, you stick the medallion in the coin slot, it reads it, and you're good to go. And
she just gives it to him, and the first order arrives, and Rey's like,
and again, I like their dynamic.
Yeah, I do too.
Because she's nice and sassy and snarky, and Poe is like dishing it back at her, and also kind of like,
yeah. No, I must admit that would be a very attractive pairing between them.
That's real good.
But Rey's like, oh, even though we like vowed to avenge Chewbacca, he's alive. I just sense him, and it's fine because this doesn't amount to anything. Because Chewbacca just lives, they get him back, and it's ultimately meaningless. All of this is meaningless.
And I guess
the
reveal of the Chewbacca being alive is utterly milquetoast, and because it's so like
by the way, we have a prisoner. This is 2 minutes later.
Well, yeah, it's weird because it's both rushed and stressed out because the end of the scene where Chewbacca dies, quote unquote, is our characters going, oh, God,
for your reference, Rey blasted with lightning. I was like, oh, that's evidence that you're from a bad seed.
And they're all just like, oh, I don't know what a huge loss we've sustained. The very next fucking scene. So this is a very quick reveal. Is the scene where it's revealed that Chewbacca survived. But the way it's revealed he survived was you have Hux talking with Pride. And Pride's and Hux is like, oh, we've taken casualties from this. We've lost a transport, and Pride, you know, the new commander of thousands of Star Destroyers, is like, what the fuck is one transport? I don't fucking care. It's a fucking war. And then Hux is like, well, luckily there was another transport with a prisoner. And then it's Chewbacca. And it's like, I got you.
I knew that. Why didn't Rey sense that when it blew up on the planet? Oh, because then the plot couldn't happen. You fucking idiots.
Yeah. Like, I feel like, so you're giving a report
yes.
of this operation. You know, you're laying down, like, how many assets came through, were damaged, were lost. So I feel like you have a fucking checklist. Like, I know this is the minutia of military order, but this is your report to your assuming direct officer.
Yes.
You need it to be succinct and information that he processes quickly. So you have two ships, and one of them made it back. So how do you report that to your superior? I would say, all right, one of our ships was destroyed. We lost that crew, and the other one just docked. 1300. But instead, he's like, we lost this transport and all its troops. Luckily, there was no. It's like, dude, fucking, you've got 16 hours to conquer the galaxy. You gotta fucking be. God, it was so weird.
Yeah, it's absolutely bizarre. Hux's attempt at a character arc in this film. Over the course of 3 movies, where he went from space Hitler to fucking buffoon to helpful to the good guys because I want to hurt the bad guys who becomes a good guy anyway, buffoon. Which is terrifying. And we basically do this where Rey basically finds the dagger and she's like, no, this killed my parents. And then there's a bit where they sneak onto the Star Destroyer.
With so much fucking ease.
So easy.
They fly their ship into the hangar of Kylo's personal Star Destroyer, which is sitting like on guard of this city that is being raided.
Yes.
Fly straight into the fucking hangar. 2 stormtroopers walk up the ramp and get shot, and then our heroes just rush out.
And they just mind trick anybody in their path.
No, there's 24 people spread out throughout this admittedly very huge hangar, but none of them fucking noticed that 2 stormtroopers got shot to death before 4 people rush through to the nearest hallway.
Yeah.
No one fucking notices. And then, they run across a couple. She mind tricks them. It's
supposed to be the joke that they've done through all 3 movies.
Yeah, and at first it's okay, and then it goes on, and then it derails.
Yes.
Like, at first I was like, all right, that's minor cringe, but it's close enough that I'll let it pass. Oh, no, you're continuing the joke, and it's...
You're relieved to have us here.
Oh,
thank Christ you're here. And it's like, oh, God.
We're looking for a prisoner. And thankfully that's when they cut it, because I don't want to see how they bumble over themselves to please Daisy Ridley. And
Daisy Ridley goes and finds the fucking Darth Vader helmet, which has just inspired nothing but laughs this entire time, because it's like, oh shit, remember The Force Awakens? How ominous that was? It's not fucking ominous anymore. So she goes in there, and then they do the way they advance the Force connection in this movie is just absolutely like, we can just teleport shit now. So it's not a deeper spiritual meaning, it's just like, we can teleport, fight wherever we are.
No, yeah, it's a dumb ability they gain to make cool visuals.
Yes.
But to show how it's progressed, first, they encounter one another. They see each other. They're able to talk. And Kylo, again, is very fascinating in Last Jedi and how he's trying to understand it. Where it's just like, can you see my surroundings? I can't see yours. Just you.
Just you. I want to fuck you.
So that's their first Force Skype. The second one, he kind of reaches out to her and he gets her raindrop. Gets like a little tiny bit of the place that she's at. Then in this movie, when he encounters her in the Alien Aladdin dance number, he grabs her necklace and takes it off. And then that's his MacGuffin to finding her, where he gives it to a First Order person. He's like, analyze that. Tell me where it came from.
I totally forgot that was even in the fucking movie.
Yeah.
So good job.
And so there's that. And then when she's infiltrating a ship, finds the Darth Vader helmet, again, their Skype call is so weird because, it's semi-implied that Kylo can initiate it, but also that it happens at random.
Yes.
AKA points where it would be convenient or inconvenient.
For the story.
So while she is infiltrating his ship, she jumps into a Skype call with him while he's raiding the planet below, looking for her.
Yes.
And the connection is so strong at this point. I guess you could argue maybe it's because they're actually physically this is the closest they've been to each other.
Right, because before on Occ 2 and then on the planet they were much farther away. I can buy that.
Sure, I can buy that being the means.
Absolutely.
but they are so their Force Skype connection is so strong that they are able to physically battle one another.
Yes.
And each time one of them slashes something in their surrounding, the contents of that thing spill over to the other.
The berries spill into fucking Kylo Ren's quarters. Yeah. Yes.
Rubble from rocks spills into her place. She destroys the podium and the Darth Vader mask falls to his place. And it's so...
Yeah.
And I love... At first I thought that was going to be the instrument of, like, a dumb joke from Kylo Ren, where he, like, sees the helmet and he's like, grandfather, and, you know, it's like, it's something to have a, like, dumb, shocked Kylo reaction shot, but it's actually used to advance the story, where he just, like, he stops the fight and he goes, so that's where you are. And it's like, oh shit, I didn't even think of how that would be. Yeah.
Oh, well, now I know that you're in my quarters. Lock down the starship because we've been such a good job at containing them before. Oh, they're in my quarters. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a lot.
But yeah, I was like, you know what? That was pretty quick thinking, because, yeah, thinking about it, that's probably the only burned Darth Vader mask in all of the galaxy. So, of course, he'd know where that came from. What are the odds? The one thing in his room that is literally one of a kind is the one thing that gets brought over to his side.
Oh, shit. And then we get this scene where it's like, we're going to execute Finn and Poe, and I forget who else.
Chewbacca?
Yeah, and so we're gonna execute them. Oh shit, well actually...
And then Hux is like...
no, let me do it myself.
And this is where we have the second Poe going, hey, what were we gonna tell Rey since we're about to die? Which, again, doesn't pay off, so it's damn frustrating. This is the last we'll hear of it.
Because the fucking edit they did, dude.
Yeah. And then
fucking edit.
And then they do a Mandalorian shot where it's like, oh, there's 3 flashes of light that were very quick that happened off screen. Did he shoot them? No, he shot the stormtroopers. They're all dead. He saved them. And then Hux looks almost at the camera, but not directly, and goes, I am the spy.
Thanks. I never would have got that without you saying it. You fucking cocksucker.
Like, JJ. Jay, my dude. I don't know what your first name is. I guess you go by JJ, but...
Yeah, Jerome.
Jerome.
I think. I don't know.
I hope you're right.
That's your name, Jerome. Jerome J.
Like Jerome.
Abrams.
I want to refer to you by the name your mother calls you when she's disappointed. So, Jerome, I feel like, as an audience...
Yeah, go ahead.
That when Hux is given a blaster, we see 3 flashes. Our protagonists look over and see that there are now 3 dead stormtroopers. I get it. Like, I put 2 and 2 together. I'm like, oh, you set up there's a spy earlier in the movie. They're in the scene where it's just them and Hux and these stormtroopers, and we know that our protagonist didn't shoot the stormtroopers. I can put the dots together and go, oh, Hux shot the stormtroopers because Hux is the spy. Like, that's fresh in my mind. I got that. So when Hux says, I am the spy, I have an aneurysm, and I think I can hold you liable for my medical expenses. So...
This was such a shit moment of just like, I am the spy. Oh, I can't wait to see this character arc pay off. And then Richard E. Grant just shoots him, even after he tells Finn to shoot him in the arm because they won't think that you escaped otherwise. And just Richard E. Grant shoots him. That's the end of Hux's arc. Great, perfect.
And I heard about this leak beforehand.
Yeah.
And I told you this, about how one of the most terrifying things of having the twist be that Hux is the spy is that this is a shittier version of something they did in Star Wars fucking Rebels.
Yeah.
Like, you have this twist, because there's this character in Star Wars Rebels, Callus, Agent Callus. He's the secondary / main protagonist of season 1, and then kind of a tertiary antagonist of season 2, and then turned ally of season 3.
Sure.
So there's an arc there. There's a progression. Like, you understand why Agent Callus has changed his worldview and gone, I need to help these people. You've already done that. That was like a year or 2 ago when you did that with a character. And then you're doing it again, but shittier in this version. Again, Star Wars Rebels is shitty. I think it's a terrible continuation of anything. I think it's an abortion of justice. But there's a really good character called Kanan Jarrus You established him like 3 years ago. He's this Jedi that survived the Purge. And then one day he's doing work, being all incognito when, oh no, there's an industrial accident. He has to use the Force to save a coworker, and now his life's turned upside down because people saw that he used the Force and he's all fucked and he's in hot water, and now he's got to process whether or not to accept being a Jedi or hiding and keeping and looking out for numero uno, myself. Like, you just did that. Like, I have seen this arc. That was one of the first arcs you introduced when you started making new content in this universe. That was 4 fucking years ago. And then you did it again in Jedi Fallen Order, but shittier. Fucking... Disney, you... In a stroke, in the time it took you to sign a fucking contract, you wiped out hundreds of stories that authors painstakingly wrote, thought of, built off of, and referenced other works in order to make sure it tied in this universe nice and cleanly. And when you did that, you did not have any ideas in the pipe works. You did not have any authors who were like, I love Star Wars. I love storytelling. I'm passionate about both these things. I want to use my talents, my ideas to the best of their abilities to add something new that both grows and changes the universe, but also builds off of what was already there. You didn't have any of that.
No.
You're just spinning your fucking wheels and reusing very, very, very simplistic and honestly not that good of storylines. Fucking kill yourselves.
Yeah, it's real bad. And to go back, we basically find out, so after he saves it, we get this whole scene of Kylo Ren and Rey. She leaves his place, she goes into the fighter hangar.
No, it sounds like they fucked, but...
And then we get the whole Kylo Ren going, see, Palpatine killed he gave the order to Hoshi to kill your parents with a Sith dagger. And it turns out that the reason he did that is because you are a Palpatine. You're his granddaughter.
You're a Palpatine.
You're a Palpatine, which made me laugh so hard.
That's a line. That's a line.
You're a Palpatine.
That is in the Star Wars universe now. More than once.
And Kylo Ren holds out his hand, and Rey goes, what if I did the end of Empire Strikes Back and just fell, but I fall into my ship?
The only thing that's... The only thing that could have made that funnier, the You're a Palpatine thing, is if we had our first on-screen confirmation of him being named Sheev Palpatine.
They were close.
They were so
close. Sheev is the dream that is coming.
He's like, I was like you once, for now you are Rey Palpatine, as I was Sheev Palpatine. But as I became Darth Sidious, so you will become. And then they come up with some like shitty dark side name.
Darth Staphius. and then we get this bit. We have this bit where, and again, General Pryde is named Pryde. Fucking brilliant, J.J. Abrams. Fucking brilliant naming convention. He kills Hux. Oh, you were injured, so we know that because they got away so easily, you were the traitor. Shoots him. This is such a fucking disgrace to Dominic Gleeson. And Holy shit.
And it's so funny because they have the exchange where Hux frees them, sends them on their way, and is like, oh, but I didn't really change as a character. I'm still a petty asshole. I just know this will one-up Ren, and, you know, they can go fuck themselves. Now shoot me so I can have my cover intact. And then it's like, oh, your cover's not intact. And they don't even...
No.
And I guess in a way, this is... Because the thing about this movie is there is so much goddamned exposition of explaining a character will do something and then explain to us why he did it. So, to be fair, you know, props to you. In this scene, we see Pryde listen to Hux's report and then go, and then shoots him and goes, we found our spy. If this was one of your shittier moments, you would have had him go, play back the security footage so I confirm. And then we see like a recording of Hux freeing them and going like, I am the spy. And then he's like, I was right. He was the spy. It's like, no, I can assume something like that happened. There's not an explanation for why Pryde knows that he did it.
I can just accept
it. There's enough there that you can interpret it as something.
Yes.
You can interpret, like, you could say he was like you could say that he didn't know that he was a spy from that, and then he was just like, he was incompetent, so it was worth executing him to improve ourselves, and I wanted to get promoted and look good in the eyes of my superiors. So yeah, that was the spy. It's like, yeah, that's an interpretation.
Yeah, that is an interpretation. And then through CPO's sacrificing of his memory translation, they decipher that the Wayfinder's on the second Death Star in the ocean of fucking Endor, the planet, not the moon, the planet Endor.
I forgot about this.
Yep. And they meet a woman there, and she turns out to be like a retreated stormtrooper from the child soldier days.
Yeah, just like Finn.
Just like Finn. And Rey just figures her way through the water on her own. She leaves her friends again.
Yeah. Oh, also, I'm sorry. Can I?
No, go on.
Circle back. Remember how when Poe is trying to convince Zori to come over to their side and help him out and, maybe fuck a little bit?
Yeah, that's a part of his motivation, yeah.
He references the Battle of Crate.
Yeah.
And to me that's funny because, one, that wasn't a fucking battle.
No.
That was you rode out to them and then pussed out and then got your asses handed to you. That's shit. Luke wasn't really fucking there, so you can't even say it was the battle between Kylo and Luke.
No.
So for one thing, fuck yourselves. For another thing, that sounds like such a fan title for like that. That's something I would expect to see on the Wikipedia of like Star Wars timeline, where you're doing just a general overview of the saga. And it's like, oh, what time period is this? Well, this in 38 ABY, the Battle of Crate took place, where the resistance. It's like, what? Like, it wasn't. I don't think it was that big and a historic event.
But it is, because it's in the Star Wars saga.
But it's not, because nothing came of it.
No? Well, you're wrong.
All right. Because he even says, oh, at the Battle of Crate, we called and no one answered. So, if no one answered...
Another fuck you to Rian Johnson. Which there's a lot of them in this movie.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate it. I really do.
I'm not saying that they better this film. But
no.
But it appeals to the petty side of me that goes, yeah, Last Jedi was fucking shit. So fuck that plot point. You don't have to follow up on it.
Yeah.
But so he's talking to someone.
Yes.
Who's like, oh, at the Battle of Crate, no one answered. And to me, like, even if your interpretation is the galaxy is too discouraged, no one's helping.
Yes.
Can't you imagine that if no one answered, that maybe like not a lot of people actually heard it? Like you sent out a signal and you got confirmation that it was being received, but like that doesn't mean it's being played. That could just mean like someone's got the TV on like a couple of parsecs over, and like on public access, sure, your record's getting through, but like he's watching pod racing. Like
he's watching fucking pod racing on Malice.
Yeah. So I would have fucking loved it if Zori was like, at what? What the fuck? What
the Battle of Crate? What are you talking about?
Did you fight crate dragons?
No, but the end of The Last Jedi established that people knew the legend of Luke Skywalker standing before the walkers, even though that wouldn't have been reported as such.
Yeah, that's funny. That's not what they would... I don't think that's what they'd be referring to.
You're right.
Yeah. Also, what happened to all those Force-sensitive kids?
Doesn't matter.
Is that what was supposed to be implied with Rey looking at the school of young kids and being like,
yes,
happy?
Yes, that's what it was.
I really wanted it to be like the bad versions of Supergirl, where it's like, get it? She's really powerful, but all she wants is to make babies.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Remember, I forget what animated Superman movie it is, but it's one with Supergirl, and she's like at the Fortress of Solitude, and there's this one scene where she's like walking down a hallway in his weird space zoo, and like literally all the animals she sees are like moms and their kids. It's like, do you get it? Like, and for a second I was like, J.J. Abrams, that's very bold to just quote unquote simplify your female protagonist and make like her purpose in the universe to be a mother. I would love that.
You know. But then we get this whole thing where okay.
Yes.
We got to go to the Death Star 2 on Endor, not the moon. It's in the ocean of Endor. It's been 30 years. It hasn't sunk. And then when we go there, we hear the fucking Darth Vader death theme to establish, no, don't you remember what the Battle of Endor was? And I'm like, go fuck yourself. You do not earn this leitmotif.
Yeah, and it's
like it's a sad theme, and where he's just looking around like, I don't know what happened here.
Yeah, see, honestly, I think it's pretty scummy because
it is.
Because if you think about that leitmotif and like how it has grown, has changed. When it first is introduced, it's this sense of intimidation, of foreboding.
Yes.
Oh shit! Like the bad guys are here. They're gonna kick your ass. You're fucked. And it develops like that throughout the original trilogy. And then once we get like the source of that score, Darth fucking Vader.
Yeah.
And it's like, and he's been redeemed. He's like, yeah, he realized the error of his ways, and at the end of his life, he was.
It just makes me cry.
He was just a man who loved his son.
Makes me cry every time.
And to like mark the point of that, we have this man's main theme, but like him, it's been changed.
Yes.
So it's like, oh, is this really tragic? Like, yeah, I fucking cry every time I hear that.
Yes.
But then in this, they like don't change it very much.
No, it's the same. I swear to you.
But they've changed the context of the scene to be like, oh, get it? This theme isn't really sad. It's suspenseful. It's like, ooh.
It's like, what happened in the past on the Death Star too? Go fuck yourself.
I remember it wasn't bad. It wasn't creepy.
It made me want to cry.
It was the actual culmination of the Skywalker
and
saga.
You walked away to piss during this.
Yeah, I literally leaned over to you and was like, I don't give a shit enough if I miss something. Yeah. I need to piss really bad.
And she looks around, and she opens the secret door on the side, and goes in, and sees Dark Ray with a double-bladed lightsaber and fights her.
I'm really looking back on it. I should have been more aware of where I was in the film.
No, it's okay. It was completely unexpected.
But we got there, like we were in the theater about a half hour early, and I was drinking and eating a lot out of stress and fear. So yeah.
No, she shows up and she has the double. Don't be afraid of who you are. Basically, the dark Palpatine possessed Rey or whatever. With the double-bladed lightsaber, they fight for a bit, and then Kylo Ren just destroys her wayfinder and goes, the only way you're going to Palpatine is with me. And she's like, no! And then fights him, and they're fighting on the wreckage of the Death Star. And this is when he does the dorky, like, saber twirl that we, like, love.
And it's so good. And I have to say about Dark Ray.
Yeah.
JJ.
Yeah.
I know you're trying in this regard. You're not trying throughout the movie. You can't even lie to yourself and say you're trying throughout the whole movie. But I know you're trying at this part. You're trying to go in this movie that, Rey's tempted by the dark side. She has aggression. She has frustration. She gives into it really easily. Her worst fear is turning to the dark side. And it's like, all right. If this had been like movie 1 and then it developed from there, good. But we're at the end of the trilogy.
This is the end of it.
This is the end of the trilogy, my friend. And every single fucking moment that she's been confronted by the dark side, she's resisted. She hasn't succumbed. She hasn't done fucking anything wrong. And in this movie, we have like a moment where she's kind of tempted, and then we have the moment where she's directly tempted by Kylo to go, join me, and then he like forces himself to stay in place when the Millennium Falcon shoves everyone back, and it's kind of funny but also kind of cool. And Rey's like, and this is the moment where within this own movie we see one scene beforehand that she has been tempted.
Yes.
Then we see a scene where she has a stronger temptation, and she fucking says no. They're like, and I know, like, and here's the thing, like, out of all of the trilogies, very little time has passed in the sequel trilogy.
No.
Total, it's been about 8 months.
Year.
Yeah. About a year at
About
most.
a year at most for the whole trilogy.
So while you can say, I know this is going to be the counter argument to what I'm about to say.
Yes.
I know that like 4 or 5 or 6 instances of her resisting temptation is not indicative that she always resists it.
Sure.
But like, if I'm watching a movie with a recovering smoke addict.
Sure.
And at one point we see, like, when he first starts, he's like, oh man, I really want to smoke. I really want to. But he doesn't. He resists. Whatever. And then we cut ahead like 8 months, and he has another moment of, oh man, I really want to smoke, but no, I won't. At that point, my assumption is that he has
overcome
consistently. Like the thing about temptation is the longer you resist it, the easier it gets.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
Fucking.
You're telling me that resisting alcohol at 1 month past being sober is easier than 1 year? No, that's a lie.
Yeah.
You're lying to yourself.
And I'm not an alcoholic, so I'm sure, alcoholics will disagree with this.
Sure.
But if you're fucking, 15, 20 years sober, if you're a friend of mine and you're 15, 20 years sober, I trust you. I am so confident in your resolve and motivation that I would trust you to, not looking, I'd be like, hey, I'm grocery shopping. Can you go grab me that 6-pack while I go over here? I trust that you have enough resolve and control of your functions to not, lose control of yourself right in front of the beer display and start guzzling everything in sight. I think you're good. I think you're fine. So, in regards to Rey's biggest fear being turned to the dark side, I haven't seen fucking anything in her character that leads me to be concerned about
Which is why when I say this is the best she's been in the trilogy, that means nothing, because it's this is the last chapter.
Yeah.
If I'm not convinced at this point, I will never be convinced. Yeah. But you convinced me, which is why this movie is so fucking bizarre, because it feels like none of the last 2 movies mattered.
See, that's the terrible thing, is at worst, this movie's dog shit. This movie is an abomination. This movie, and let's be clear about this, overall, this movie is the absolute shittiest Star Wars movie in existence.
It's the worst.
And it always will be, I hope.
Yes, I hope. Knock on wood.
But at its very best, at its peak quality, it is too little too late.
Absolutely.
Like
Lando having really compelling scenes with Poe is wow, I wish I would have had this in movie 1.
Yeah.
Honestly. Or movie 2 at least.
The only time I care and feel satisfaction is when it's a fucking legacy character.
Yes.
Your sequel trilogy, new characters, new additions are not developed enough for me to be satisfied and care about the end of their story.
No, absolutely. And so where we go from this, we get this fight on the Death Star 2 with Kylo after Rey has been attacked by her Dark Force double-bladed lightsaber vision, which, ridiculous. But she momentarily had the white eyes of Sidious that he has when he's half dead or whatever.
Oh, shit the bed.
Yes. Yes. And so she fights Kylo.
And he's kicking her ass.
He's kicking her ass. And then there's a bit where they're fighting towards the ocean. She pushes Finn back because he's going to get hurt or something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I missed that. Do we see any establishing shots of him also using a skimmer to get over to the Death Star?
No, he's just there. He literally just pops up.
Okay.
And he's there.
So, and again, they try to play this up, but also downplay it way too much, of acknowledging that Finn is kind of a little bit maybe force sensitive.
Tiny bit.
But so they made such a big fucking stink about it when Rey goes out on a skimmer in crazy waters because they see the second Death Star just floating completely fine in the ocean. And then the locals of the planet go, oh yeah, we live here, we've been here for years. Those waters, that's fucked. You don't sail when they look like that. You gotta wait for it to calm down. And then
Rey just does it.
And then a minute later, Rey just does, and they're like, oh shit, what will happen to her now? But then they just go, oh yeah, and Finn did it too. He didn't have any troubles at all, I assume.
No.
So it's you did you just downplay that he's force sensitive? Are you dumb and you didn't think about how that if it's a struggle for Rey, it needs
why
to be
isn't it a bit of both? It's a bit of both.
It's a little bit of both.
So consequently, she faces Kylo Ren, and he does the funny sword flip thing. There's so much fucking Shien reverse grip lightsaber shit going on in this movie.
It's because don't you love Ahsoka Tano?
I did, yes, before this movie.
I did before Rebels.
Before Rebels is better. So
I'm not gonna say
there's a bit where Maz, you weren't here for this, but Maz says Leia realizes that the last thing she has to do to save her son will take the last bit of her energy, basically implying she'll die.
Oh.
And so Maz says that to the fucking camera.
Oh God, that.
Yes.
That just made the movie worse.
Yes, it did.
I didn't see that, and I understood that.
Maz outlined it, so if in case you were confused, fucking stupid audience. And then Leia connects with Ben and says, Ben. And as she's dying, Ben goes, oh shit, I regret this, and drops his lightsaber. And then Rey stabs him for some fucking reason.
She's tempted by the dark
side. She's tempted by the dark side. And then she heals them. And then he's like, oh shit, like, I really have a boner for you now. You know what I mean? And then she leaves in his TIE Interceptor, and he's just, like, laying on... One of the biggest cocks. She leaves her friend. She leaves Kylo Ren just, like, bleeding. And then Kylo Ren has a vision of Han Solo. And you know what? This is one of the best scenes of the movie.
It really is?
You know what?
Harrison Ford back.
They got Harrison Ford fucking back.
I guarantee you that was half their budget.
That was $10 million at least. I guarantee you. And he was good.
It's good.
They did a callback to Force Awakens, and I was like, you know what? That's the best scene from Force Awakens. That's one of the best scenes in this movie.
He didn't bother to shave, so it kind of threw me off a little bit.
It did.
But yeah, I would love to. This would be a really interesting thing to see, because of course, in Force Awakens and this movie,
yes,
I don't think that Harrison Ford really cares very much. But
he did a little bit in Force Awakens, just a little bit.
He did a little bit in Force Awakens, but well, actually no. I'm sorry, I kind of have to
go ahead.
For Force Awakens, he didn't really care. The moment he cared the most was in the scene where he was confronting Ben Solo.
Yes,
he was selling his fucking ass off. And in this movie, since it's his only scene, he's selling his ass off. So it'd be really interesting to compare the two and see like which one he does better in.
Well, that's interesting. I'll have to watch both, but that's a tough ordeal. Yeah.
But again, that's one of the very few positives.
It's one of the best scenes is when he's like, listen, no, you Ben Solo is not dead, Kylo Ren is dead. And you know what? I was like, you know fucking what? I gave a shit.
Yeah.
I gave a shit at the scene. Good job. Harrison Ford got me. Billy D. Williams got me.
When Kylo Ren fucking throws his lightsaber,
I was like, you know what?
This is triumphant.
This is really good.
Yeah.
You know, nice job.
Don't get me wrong. His arc from Force Awakens, Last Jedi to this is fucking inconsistent as hell.
But you know what?
His arc from beginning of this movie to the end of this movie, pretty good.
Yep. I like that scene. And then we get this bit where, well, he destroys her Wayfinder.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then Rey...
See, you know the funny thing is I think the scene where he destroys her Wayfinder is like the beginning of the fight, and I didn't see it.
It is, yes.
So to me, I was able to fill in the blank, but since I only saw her going to get the Wayfinder, to her having to run away from Kylo, and then we have the scene where Luke is like, "Oh no, there's one more Wayfinder." I was like, "Oh, I guess the one she specifically was looking for got damaged or lost."
But she takes the TIE Interceptor with a Wayfinder, and rather than track down Palpatine, she goes to Ahch-To and burns the ship. And she's like, "Listen, I'm gonna do what Luke did." And then Luke appears, and like she's about to throw her lightsaber into the Inferno, and he's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And my God, can I just say, this was like so fucking healing to see Mark Hamill actually be like a confident, like good person who wants to help somebody. And I'm like, wow, you legitimately just overran and said fuck you to Rian Johnson. She was like, hey, but you stayed here. And he's like, yeah, that was made a decision based on fear. It was important to help the galaxy. And I'm like, wow, what a fuck you to Rian Johnson.
And when she throws her lightsaber to the Inferno and he catches it, which again, I don't like this.
Again, I don't like the Force spirits have influence over the physical world.
But the grass moved around. Look at us.
Go fuck yourself.
But I love that his first line is, "That's no way to treat a Jedi's weapon." As another like, Rian Johnson. Oh, it'd be really funny if you just threw it casually. That's no way to treat a Jedi's weapon.
Yeah, it was a total fuck you, which I appreciated.
Like, again, if you fucking hated The Last Jedi and you are, incredibly petty, you'll take joy in certain parts of this movie.
Yes.
They're not good, but, you know, if you like seeing someone else go, Last Jedi, you're a piece of shit, you shouldn't exist, then, yeah, this movie has a few scenes that'll tickle your fancy.
And Rey says, you have to... Luke Skywalker tells Rey, you must face Darth Sidious.
Mm-hmm. As I faced Vader.
As I faced Vader. And he lifts the fucking X-Wing out of the water, which, on one hand, fuck you for making Force Spirits able to do all this shit, but also, you actually didn't have Rey do it, you had Luke do it, so I have to support that.
I mean, they're able to do it in Lego Star Wars, so all things considered.
That's, it makes sense.
But they also have ghost lightsabers, so I don't know how that works.
Well, but Force Unleashed.
But I will say, when she flies to Ahch-To and burns the TIE Fighter, that was one of the moments in the movie where I felt the existential dread.
I did.
Building up.
Yes.
Because I was like, oh, fuck me. Well, the movie's not going to end with her being like, no, I give up. I banish myself, which is what a real feminist would do when she doesn't do anything of a significance. But I was like, oh, shit. So she's not going to stay here. She's going to have to leave. But we can't have her, like, call for help or just luck out or be dependent on anyone. So she has to get herself out of this situation that she got herself into.
Oh.
There's only one ship on this island, which is Luke's in the water. So she's gonna fucking lift it as another one of the, oh, I'm like Luke Skywalker, but better.
Because Anakin and Luke failed, I succeeded in killing Palpatine.
But instead, what they do is a dumb but better version where she's like, oh shit, the X-Wing is coming out of the water, and we see Luke.
And it's the Yoda theme.
And it's the Yoda theme. Like, it feels like they fucked with it to make it feel even more triumphant. and Luke is doing, like, the exact same hand gesture of bringing it up out of the water, and it's like, fuck yeah.
And Luke Mark Skywalker's Hamill was, like, actually, like, really excited. He's like, no, listen, like, this is redeeming Luke Skywalker from that shitty film, The Last Jedi.
I will say, it was a little weird to me. I think
his wig was a bit off.
Yeah, his hair was a little too long and, like, straight and clean compared to Last Jedi, and his beard was a little longer and fragile.
Sure, yeah.
His performance was absolutely wonderful, and the writing was more consistent with how he should have been.
I agree. This was like J.J. Abrams going, fuck Rian Johnson, am I right? And I'm like, you know what, you're right.
I will say, painting JJ in the most favorable light, and assuming that him cutting down on Luke is not his way of succumbing to Kathleen Kennedy's dumb feminist things and building up Leia as the one who trained Rey and perfected her training. I think that his reasoning behind limiting the amount of Mark Hamill is so he could play it safe, have him like act like he would from original trilogy, but have it be brief enough where you're talking about JJ, yes.
Okay.
But play it, but it's such a small part of the movie, and it's so, it's so isolated that a fan of The Last Jedi will not feel like it is a retcon.
Right.
And say, oh yeah, he's acting like this now because of his arc from The Last Jedi.
From The Last Jedi, yeah.
From his failure.
Yeah, that's right. I think you're completely correct in that.
Yeah.
It was JJ trying to, like, not make The Last Jedi fans absolutely hate him.
Yeah. While going, like, well, he's not just going to be the Grumpus from Last Jedi, because that's stupid.
But also we get the scene of Kylo Ren and Han Solo.
Hmm.
And I think we already kind of talked about it, but I think it's important to say, like, this is not a Force ghost, it's just Kylo Ren typing in the Force.
Mm.
And so Rey heads to Exegol using the Wayfinder. She goes through the fucking thing. And then she meets Darth Sidious.
Mm.
She meets
she's doing something to map out her progress, so
yes.
And this is really contrived. And it doesn't really affect the plot in any way, but it's so weirdly inconsistent. So they go, oh, Rey is flying to this place, and she's leaving behind a signal so people can follow her.
Yes.
Know like where she's been and follow that like a roadmap. Whereas I feel like in Star Wars, it's established that you can go, hey, these are the coordinates of where I'm going. Like, Unless the Wayfinder is like this really shitty, like nearsighted version of Google Maps.
It is,
where it's like, oh, I don't know how long, I don't know how far away this place actually is, but I know that in like 500 feet you need to continue going straight. It's like, okay, well, fuck, all right, I'm kind of flying in the blind here.
That's kind of what it is, though, to make the whole Luke's map thing work.
Oh, fuck me, you're kind of right.
That's what it is. And so we get this thing where she gets to Exegol.
Mm-hmm.
And isn't this in the X-Wing?
Yes, correct.
She gets there.
All right.
And Darth Sidious is like, long have I waited.
And we get this really creepy chanting score, and there's like
it's the
thousands
Sith?
of
it's
people
the
in black
Sith
robe.
from all time? What is the canon's timeline for the Sith? I don't understand. It made sense in Legends, but not here.
I'm wondering if... See, it's weird. Like, so now that Rey was able to like tap into all of the Jedi in existence because she's every Jedi, can she do weird shit like this? Can she have like a giant arena and fill it with all the Jedis?
Yeah, why not? This is the Avatar state. That's how it is. We didn't make her a reincarnation of Anakin, but she has all the previous Jedi in her, and she meets Darth Sidious. And Palpatine is like all the Sith in him now, which is a cool idea.
Yes.
But absolutely fucking wasted in this movie. The whole I am all the Jedi, I am all the Sith, it doesn't matter.
Nothing comes of it.
No.
Nothing about the fight changes if you eliminate that I am everyone and I am everyone.
And he tells Rey, you're my granddaughter. And you will kill me in hatred, and then I will transfer into you, and all the Sith will transfer into you. You will be the Empress Palpatine. So I want to die. It's like Dark Empire, but different.
I have trouble.
Go on.
Figuring out what Rey's plan is.
I don't know.
In this, because he's just like, oh, if you strike me down in anger, then I will take over your body, and you will be the Empress. Which, by the way, is thinking about. I don't know if I think we talked about this before recording, but I want to make sure it is recorded.
Go on.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
That the Emperor is like, oh, you can rule the galaxy side by side with Rey, but he also
and then I had to fuck him.
But he also wants to be Rey, so he wants Kylo to fuck him.
Yeah, no, he does because he's a sick fuck.
Huh.
He's like, no, listen, I will experience as a young Skywalker body.
But so he reveals that to Rey.
Yes.
Like, oh, if you kill me, then I'll take you over, and you'll succumb to the dark side. You'll worst fear. But if you don't, well, I'm in command of the Final Empire, and the Final Empire is murdering the shit out of your friends. You want to help your friends? You have to. And
again, after the Last Jedi, they have to do the Return of the Jedi again. Your fleet is lost, and your friends up there will not survive.
Yeah, and so. And I don't know what Rey's thought process is here. Like, I don't know. I don't know if she's like, maybe I can pretend that I've just submitted to him, and I'll just pretend to be evil until he gives me control, but I won't have to kill him and be taken over. Or maybe she's like, all right, I have to risk killing him and having him take me over and trust that maybe I can overcome his control. Yeah. Like, something like that happens, but we don't know.
No.
Because all we see is her, like, 10 feet away from him. And he's like, oh, okay. And she starts to move forward. And then it cuts to Kylo showing up, parking his X-Wing right next to...
Well, he's got a regular TIE fighter.
Yeah, he's got a regular TIE fighter.
Yes.
Next to Rey's X-Wing. Luke's X-Wing, I'm sorry. Rey's just borrowing, it's not hers.
Yeah.
And he runs under the Sith obelisk and force jumps his way onto Palpatine's statue's face, and it's really funny.
Yes, it's very hilarious.
And he's shooting out Sith guards who kind of appear the fuck out of nowhere, at least in Rey's scene.
Yeah.
And then, as he's like rounding the corner, getting to Rey, all the Knights of Ren show up.
Fuck me, and what a disappointment.
He threw his lightsaber away. He just has a blaster. And for a second, it's not. And it would have been dumb fan service if it was. but I was hoping he'd be using a blaster like Han.
Like Han,
but it's just like
he kind of does. He kind of does.
I think he does the same like shooting pose where he's like too far extended.
Yes.
But then he loses that. But he still is like memeing the fuck out of the Knights of Ren, who from what I
know, they're kind of beating the shit out of him.
They beat the shit out of him, but none of them seem to be using the Force.
No, so I guess, they're not Force sensitive for some fucking reason.
But we get to Rey right in front of Palpatine, and we see that she is aware that Kylo is close by.
Yes,
but she draws her lightsaber.
Yes,
lifts it up and around her head so it's out of Palpatine's view, and he like starts to orgasm, waiting for the killing stroke that'll turn him into a young 20-something chick.
That's very nice.
Yeah. I will say, I think Daisy Ridley was actually our most attractive in this movie.
I really wanted to, like, hate fuck her, but yeah, it's true.
But we do that, and then it, like, I feel like it waits a little too long, because we get, like, kind of mildly confused Palpatine face, and then she moves her hand back, and it's like, oh, I don't have a lightsaber, it's actually Kylo's, and then he reveals that he has it, and then he memes the fuck out of the Knights of Ren.
It's so bad. I wish they had never been in the movie, to be honest.
They don't make a noise.
They don't do anything.
None of them even get a Wilhelm scream.
None of them get a sound. None of them do anything. None of them even, like, have any Force sensitivity. They're just guys.
It's also weird.
There's mooks.
It's also weird to me that there's the implication, and in fact, what is the canon lore of the expanded universe, but doesn't seem to have much sway in the movie, is that the Knights of Ren are basically gray Sith. Yes. They're like, hey, we're evil as shit, but we don't really have, like, organized religion or anything like that. We kind of just do whatever the fuck. So they're gray Sith, and in Last Jedi, or I'm sorry, let me build on this further. And in Force Awakens, in that one shot we see of Rey's vision of Kylo Ren and the Knights of Ren, yes, we see that they have armor similar to his, but they don't seem to have lightsabers or anything like that. No. So it's like, okay, so he's clearly like the best, quote unquote. He's like the farthest along.
Because they're all Force sensitive, but they don't have lightsabers. Yeah.
So and then in the Last Jedi, we see that Snoke's personal bodyguards, the elite fighters, have like various weird laser weapon things. Yes. And like are trained in Kenpo and like physical weapon combat. Yes. And then when the Knights of Ren finally fucking show up to do shit in the Rise of Skywalker, they have none of that. They basically have like clubs and very archaic swords that get destroyed by lightsabers. They're fucking chumps.
Like, I really would have rather you not put them in this movie. They're just mooks who show up, they get Chewbacca, then I thought they blew up, and then no, they're at the end, they're working for Sidious, even though they're supposed to be Grey Sith. Again, and then Kylo Ren just fucking memes them, they don't do anything.
Again, with this movie and Last Jedi, JJ simultaneously accidentally invents content that could be made really interesting in the expanded universe, and introduces content that seems interesting but gets thrown away, so there's no point in building it up. Yes. So like Force Awakens opens, and we're like, oh shit, the First Order's formed, Luke's disappeared, Han and Leia's son turned to the dark side. Man, that's a really good story. I'd like to see that expanded on. Well, but then it's like, oh, Luke's Jedi Academy, I wonder what that's like. Well, they all get killed by Kylo, and we've seen how strong he is, so clearly they don't really amount to much. And then in this movie, we have, oh, Palpatine came back, and like a little bit ago, he revealed himself to the galaxy, and it's like, that sounds terrifying. I'd love to see that. And then it's like, oh, remember the Knights of Ren and how cool they all die. So, there's not going to be any more stories with them. It's like, fuck, JJ, you could have just left them fucking open.
They could have been like something to continue the story.
Because, he specifically said that when he started writing Rise of Skywalker, that he had seen the huge fan outcry about the Knights of Ren. Yes. And that's why he decided to include them in the movie. Yes,
absolutely. That's how it feels.
So in his mind, it's just a throwaway thing. Like, he never planned to pay them
He never
off.
cared. He was just like, it was just one tiny little spin-off thing that doesn't matter. And I'm like, you
just
set that up as if it was
Sith.
the most... It was I didn't want to have Sith, so it's the Knights of Ren. Well, you fucking set that shit up. You gotta make it, like, really important. It's not. It's really not.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Kylo Ren kills them. And then Sidious absorbs their power, both of them.
Because they're Dyacs, you see.
The Didacs.
The Didacs.
It's Halo all over again. They're the mirror image of the different parts of the Force, and it's once in a lifetime. And Sidious absorbs their power, and what does he turn into from his white eyes and normal-looking skin? He looks more like Episode 3. He has his demon eyes and his deformed skin.
But
it's like,
worse.
what? But worse. And he has his red Sith robes instead of the ones he dyed in Return of the Jedi. I'm like, how did he change into the... I don't fucking care.
At least he has his Sith eyes, even though they look CG as opposed
they're
to
CG,
practical, like they were able to do in
Ian
both
McDermott was
the
fucking shit on in this movie, dude.
And you know what his revived makeup looked like?
What? Go ahead.
It looked like a mixture of 3 and 6, where like in 3, it's clearly like a lot of prosthetics and makeup and everything, but they've like put in like wrinkly details to make it smushed like that and everything.
Yeah.
Whereas like in Return of the Jedi, it's more like they kind of like messed up his foundation, so he's like splotchy and kind of sticky out.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's like that. So it's like if they added the texture of his face in Episode 6 onto the clearly bigger prosthetic bit.
Okay.
So he doesn't have like detailed wrinkles or anything. His face is just slightly bigger and
that's true.
Splotchy.
Yeah, and
it's such shit.
It's really bad. I feel bad for Ian McDermott.
At least after like his first scene or two, they phase out his way too deep voice modulator. So
that was really bad because I'm like, Ian McDermott is powerful enough on his own.
My boy.
My boy. And then there's this bit where Sidious is draining their power. He gets his Sith eyes. He's more powerful. He can walk around. He doesn't have to be on the fucking Borg Queen.
Which, thank Christ, because I thought it was.
Because I thought he was going to be on that Borg Queen, like moving him around thing the whole time.
Yeah.
But he comes off and he's like, "I'm the Sith," and then he shocks her, and then she's like deflecting it with one light, but he's like, "This is the last chapter of the Skywalker. So as I fall, you will fall." And he throws Kylo Ren over a cliff.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it starts as he rejuvenates, then he goes, "Hey, remember how I fell in Return of the Jedi? Well, that was Skywalker's, and you're a Skywalker, so I throw you into this random chasm, and you smack your fucking back on this rock, and it's really, like, hurting.
You should be dead."
And then he releases...
Oh, yeah, because the Resistance fleet comes to attack the cannons, and they're about to die, and then Lando shows up, and he's like, I actually have, like, billions of ships now.
See, it's funny, because this feels like... this feels like another fuck you to Rian Johnson, but it feels like it, not so much in a... I don't think this was J.J. Abrams directly going... Oh, fuck you, Rian Johnson. This is a shitty idea. I think this is more actually just taking a peek into their mindsets and their influence of the story. Because in Last Jedi, we have a moment of... we have this moment at the end where it's like, oh, we called for help in our most desperate hour, reaching the most people, and
came.
No one came, but we stood up by ourselves, and we inspired the galaxy, and maybe they'll have the strength to fight on. Like, that's the end of that movie. Yeah. Whereas in this movie, it's like, oh, we called out for help, and everyone came. Yeah. We believe in each other. We strengthen each other.
We make each other strong.
Oh, so very, like, same impetus, but very different outcomes, just, I think, reflecting JJ.
And then the Resistance is fighting this fleet knowing that they can't win. There's, like, hundreds of thousands of troopers and TIE fighters, and they haven't even been released.
And they're riding fucking horses on Star Destroyers.
This is... I looked over, I was like, how did we fucking get here, dude? How did we get here with this shit? And it's like...
At the very least, the horse cavalry charge is mercifully short.
It is.
They just, like, ride up to jump onto the Star
because
Destroyer.
Because they're within the shields or whatever, and it's like, the moment you take out these shields, you'll die.
Oh. Well, no, there's still an atmosphere.
Whatever.
It's fine.
It doesn't matter. It's shit. And then we get this bit where Rey is blocking Palpatine's lightning. Yeah. And he has his rejuvenated Sith robes that are red.
Yeah.
He's got his Sith eyes. He starts shocking her.
And she's blocking with one lightsaber, which is something that Jedi Master Mace Windu couldn't do, but it's fine.
But Jedi Master Mace Windu deflected it, and Palpatine is getting it deflected, and rather than stop and just crush her skull with the Force, he goes, ah! And then he disintegrates.
But she has to get the second lightsaber to double her defensive powers.
Oh, this is so bad. This is fucking shit, even within canon. Putting aside Legends, this is shit given canon.
Also,
this is bad.
Also, to point out another,
the Sith manifest as ghosts all through the stadium.
Yeah,
to support Darth Sidious.
It's fucked. But
I am all the Sith. I am all the Jedi.
But speaking of ridiculously overwhelming odds with very anticlimactic solutions and outcomes. So we have like this ragtag group, like less than 24 little snub fighter ships,
tiny,
going up against hundreds of Star Destroyers with Death Star tech. So of course they're going to get slaughtered. And then as soon as the tides are turned, there's a ton of ships. Granted, none of them as big as a Star Destroyer, but like 10 times as many. As soon as that happens, like one snub fighter, like a Y-wing, can shoot the cannon of a Star Destroyer and completely destroy it.
Like the one Y-wing.
With how easy it is, you'd think that this small group that showed up would have taken out like one or two, but they're getting pulverized. They can't do anything.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
Well, it's a fucking contrived ending, my friend.
And we have another weird moment. So she's very small, so we haven't really talked about her.
Yes.
Rose Tico.
Yeah.
It just pops up every now and then. And we have this another weird parallel change, but kind of still parallel with Last Jedi.
Yes.
Where it's Finn and his new black chick friend and Rose and their group assaulting the Star Destroyer with their horses, and shockingly, they aren't having a lot of luck. They're not doing much damage. So Finn gets control of one of the surface turrets, kind of looks over at Rose, who's way the fuck away, is like, I have to take out this ship. And she's like, oh, no, you can't. He's like, no, you gotta go. I gotta do this. And it's like this weird, like, oh, it's Finn who's gonna do this self-sacrificing move, and Rose doesn't like it, but in JJ's version, he's actually gonna go through with it. He goes through with it, and then he still doesn't die. And it's like, oh. But it does lead to one of the most hilarious moments in the movie, where he fires the cannon into the main control room, and you just see like one shot of Pride at the window, and he's like, oh shit, and it blows up. And
it's the Cassian moment of, oh shit, this is hot. Oh!
Yeah.
It blows up.
Yeah. It's really funny. And we have a moment where it looks like Poe is going to get to show off his piloting skills, but they sacrifice it so that Lando can show off his piloting skills. And I was like, out of all the moments where you cucked Poe out of being a good fighter, that was one of the better.
That's true.
I can believe that Lando and Chewie together are a better pilot than Poe. Go fuck yourself. But yeah, we have Rey blocking all of Sidious's lightning. He's like, I'm every Sith, and I am every Jedi, and it's like
I am Iron Man.
Yeah, it's like a shitty version of Endgame, and Sidious once again forgets to turn off his Force lightning and evaporates
Why
himself to shit.
The fuck did he not learn? Because you get all these bits where it's Qui-Gon and Yoda and Obi-Wan and Kanan and Ahsoka and Adigalia and fucking Ava Secura. It's like, fuck off, dude. Yeah. And they just say, no, you can do it. And Palpatine's like, oh, I don't know how to stop doing Force. Like, don't let her kill me. And then he just disintegrates.
So do you think... So, I feel like this is a little quiz game we have, but it's been fairly selective so far. So there's two possible reasonings behind this, but...
Go on.
Rey, in the beginning of this movie, it's established that Rey is trying to connect with former Jedi Masters who have passed on to the Force, getting advice.
Yes.
And then that is paid off in the end, where we get vocal cameos from a bunch of Jedi.
Because they couldn't visually do it, because that would cost money.
Yeah, they couldn't visually do it. That was probably still one of their bigger budget moments.
Yep.
But, so So the question is, do you think that was simple shilling of them being like, no, we care about the prequels because we don't have any other Jedi established, so these ones are important? Or do you think that was yet another, like, husk of what would have been involved in J.J. Abrams' trilogy? Where, like, maybe in his episode 8, she would have started to gain some connection to some Jedi, but then this movie is where it is fully established. But since Last Jedi pissed on that, he had to establish it all in this movie.
I think the latter. He had to establish all this in this movie.
That's fair. But yeah, so she kills Sidious, but then it's too much and she dies. But then Kylo hobbles out and he's fine. I thought he broke his back, but
Go on,
Mr. Kokovich. What are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. That's doing fucking great.
That's good. So like I said, so Rey dies because when you block a bunch of lightning, it kills you. It's too much.
This is a fucking terrible ending.
Yeah. It is. But she collapses, and then we
Sidious. Oh,
it
fuck
does,
me. Sidious, do you talk about the beam when he does the dubstep?
Yeah, and shocks the entire.
Yes, that's incredible.
But so we get this. To me, it's very funny panning down shot. Where it's from a distance, we see a pan down from the destroyed bit of the Sith throne to where we see
because she vaporizes it. Yeah, she disintegrates Palpatine.
Yeah, and it pans down, and then as it's going like just about to go below the ground because we're on top of the hole that Kylo fell in going down, we see his hand go poof, and he's like climbing out, and it's like, I thought you like broke your back, dude. He like force pushed you real hard and you smacked your back on
You didn't expect that though.
But then he's fine. And he crawls and is clearly in pain. I feel like if
they tried to do the sad and to reveal this, they'd use the Emperor's theme about 15 times. Like,
yeah, absolutely. I will say, if it wasn't for me being so done with the movie by this point, or the fact that the rest of this movie isn't good, I'd probably appreciate Adam Driver's pained acting a little bit more. Because he's like,
Adam Driver tried so hard to sell this movie.
Because he's crawling towards her, and it's a faraway shot, so he's very far away, but they clearly want to do he crawls to her all in one shot. But he doesn't want to look like a dummy and just like crawl to her just fine. So he makes it like halfway, and then he kind of collapses and is like,
yeah.
And he pulls a vessel, and I'm like, I believe that you're really injured, but at the same time, I know I've seen your beginning. I know where you end. I don't need to see the whole bit of this. Please,
sure.
Move on. But yeah, he grabs her, and they do this kind of weird. It's interesting, but it's too drawn out visual thing where Kylo is kind of sitting back and he's holding Rey, and the way the lighting and the coloring shows it, like he's very like it's hard to do because he's wearing black, but like he's very vibrant in his color, like his skin color is very like tan and like almost glowing, and you see like Daisy Ridley looks like washed out and kind of gray, and it's like, oh, this cool visual representation of like basically seeing the difference between a living and dead body, where there's like the very essence of life being gone. And then he kind of holds her and is clearly like going, oh, I'm super powerful. I can do force healing too. You know, it's established as of this movie. And he clearly like focuses for a little bit. And there's like this very subtle indication where like some of his color starts to go out.
Yes.
He looks a little bit more washed out, and Rey looks a little bit more colorful, and then she revives. And I'm like, okay, that was nice, but again, it took too long to convey. It was too subtle, I think.
Sure.
She's like, oh, it's fine. They kind of, it's again, this scene feels very drawn out because she revives. They kind of look at each other for a bit, and she's like, Ben,
and then he dies.
And then they just stare at each other for like another 5-10 seconds, just going back and forth between Rey and Kylo.
And then he passes out.
And then they kiss, and they look at each other some more, and then he just goes, and he falls back, and she's like, oh, and like, fuck me, she was like shrieking and crying for Chewbacca, who we revived in like 2 minutes.
But
she's like,
because she consents. Yeah,
and then she's virtually fine with Ben just dying when like apparently we revealed
it's
that they
a happy
love
ending,
each other.
dude. It's a Star Wars movie. You don't want to have a happy ending? Go fuck yourself. You want to have like dramatic tension? Go fuck yourself. You're the one at fault, not them.
Oh, you know what it is? They couldn't have Rey like break down and cry over some man.
No, some dude, some white guy.
No, fuck that dude.
Yeah.
God. But then it's all happily ever after.
We beat the First Order. The anyone who are left are trapped here. Thank God.
Yeah.
Palpatine died because he got blown up by his own lightning because he was an idiot and didn't know how to stop. We really beat the Sith. All of them, all the Jedi live in me. Kanan and Ayla Secura and Luke and Anakin and Ahsoka and all these people, they care about me, and I beat Palpatine.
Yeah. And they're all partying on Endor.
Yeah, there's Ewok cameo.
Yeah, there's an Ewok cameo. Old as fuck Wicket. I was looking and and the shot is too quick, but I wanted to see if they had blinking Ewoks, but it looked like they were just doll eyes.
No, I think they were just doll eyes.
But then it cuts to the celebration, and it's oh man, it's the trio reunited. You know, it's Finn, Poe, and Rey, and they all embrace. And don't you care?
They're gonna do a love triangle? No.
Oh, and then we forgot, we didn't talk about this very much, but when C-3PO reads the dagger, reveals what it says, and gets his memory wiped, there's this joke that they do way too many times of him being like, "This is the first time I've interacted with anyone who I've clearly interacted with before. Please laugh." But then he meets R2, and R2 is like, "What the fuck is wrong with you? Let me back up your data." And he's like, "What? That sounds terrible. I'll never like..." And then it smash cuts to R2 having like inserted his memory. He's like, "I'm basically fine. I just don't remember like the last 4/5 of this movie." Oh, all right. Well,
genius.
To be honest, 3PO, you live in a better world than we do. So they embrace, and then, you know, to further the triumph, to really wrap up the Skywalker saga.
Yeah.
We have Rey showing up at the Lars homestead on Tatooine.
Oh.
And I swear, this is so, like, shilly and pandering and awful that I literally expected them to do, like, the ghostly remembrance, like, overlay where you see, like, the shot of her looking down at the evaporator in the center of their dugout home. I expected to see, like, a layering of, like, Luke walking around from episode 4. Or, like, when she goes into the kitchen, like, see, like, a pale version of him sitting at the table with Owen and Beru and being like, "See, it's come full circle, she's at his home." But they don't do that. So I guess there's a modicum of decorum there. But then she wraps up Luke and Leia's lightsabers and force buries them in the desert at that home. And then this random fucking passerby is like, "Oh, nobody's been there in years, you know, who are you?" And she's like, I'm Rey." She's like, "Rey who?"
Rey who? Rey who?
It's all right. We're gonna cut that. Like, "Oh, who are you?" And Rey. "Rey who?" And she's like, "Rey Skywalker." And she looks out at the twin sunsets and it's like, "No, go fuck yourself. You didn't earn this. This isn't anything. You're shit. This is shit. I hate you. You ruined Star Wars. You murdered Star Wars in less than 4 years.
I literally screw up because of you."
It's that shit. It was insulting. I hate it. Oh yeah, we talked about it. We talked about it in passing, but it's the ending celebration on Endor where we see the random token background gay characters kiss when you didn't have the balls to do it for Poe and Finn. So that's when that happens. Just so you know. Oh yeah. Oh, when she asks, "Oh, Rey who?" we see Rey look out, and for some reason it's this weirdly like way less defined and formed Luke and Leia Force ghosts. Like, they're barely there.
It's very contrived.
It's very strange. I'm sad we don't see Hayden Christensen, to be perfectly honest.
I agree.
Because I heard we see Anakin as a Force ghost and Ben as a Force ghost, but no.
No, not Anakin, just Luke or Leia.
So I don't really like this movie.
I think that's fine. I expected that to happen way earlier, to be honest.
You did good.
No,
you did well.
Okay. It's all right.
You did well.
Anakin. He was too dangerous to be dangerous.
He was too drunk to be drunk.
Listen. This fucking movie, dude.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy.
But also so strangely safe.
It's bizarre. It simultaneously contradicts The Force Awakens.
Yes.
And The Last Jedi.
Yes.
But it's also like, no, listen, like, those movies mattered, I swear to God. This movie is a fucking travesty, dude. The way they handle Darth Sidious.
Oh my God, they do him dirty.
Everyone gets out. So listen, Rey is the best she's ever been. Poe is the best he's ever been.
Mm. What about Finn?
I wouldn't say Finn is the best he's been, but I would say
he's better than Last Jedi.
He's better than Last Jedi, where he's a joke.
I guess he's at his best in Force Awakens, which I'm sorry.
That's a terrible thing.
There's a couple of moments where it's like, oh, John Boyega, you clearly don't give a shit.
But yeah, the whole thing that you described, Rey takes the name Skywalker. Go fuck yourself.
No.
Why would you do this?
Oh well, I mean, no, I'm not. I was gonna play devil's advocate, but I'm very tired. I don't.
It's the Skywalker saga.
You killed off all the Skywalkers.
End it. She's a Palpatine anyway.
Also, like, here's the thing, right? It's the Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
So that means it can't be like the last of the Skywalkers. So for Rey's ascension and taking on the Skywalker name to mean anything, she's got to start cranking out some babies in the world. Otherwise, Skywalker just becomes a title that gets passed on and has no meaning.
Maybe that's what it's supposed to be, because childbirth is against women.
Shut up. No, it's not.
No,
it's literally how we propagate the species.
Nope, that's a lie. It's only through what we want to do. You are sexist. You don't understand how women work, dude. So, this movie was a laugh riot.
Yes.
It was much easier than we thought it would be, but it still wasn't good.
God no.
It was still a fucking horrifying, like, the way they handled Sidious, the way they handled Rey's parentage, the way they handled this love triangle that got cut out.
Yeah.
This is a fucking, like, fragmented, horrifying piece of trash.
Yeah, no, this is the worst Star Wars movie of all time. This is probably the worst movie I've watched this year.
Including Hellboy?
Ooh.
Yeah, compared to Hellboy.
Oh, fuck, yeah.
Yeah.
Phoenix and
Dark Phoenix was really bad.
Fuck. This has been a shit year for
movies. It's been a shit year.
It's been really
But I think that, like, overall, the Star Wars saga, the Skywalker saga, this last three is such... I can't go back.
It's...
this sequel trilogy cannot be redeemed unless you edit it all down into one movie.
I feel like
because that's how it felt.
I feel like if The Last Jedi hadn't been as terrible as it was, this movie would have been much more horrific. Because the experience I get with the sequel trilogy is like The Last Jedi like shoots you in the stomach. So you're like lying there on the ground. You're like, oh fuck, I'm only 2/3 of the way through this torture. Like, what horrific thing is this last movie gonna do to me? And it's like, no, it just shot me in the head. And I was like, well, thinking about it, getting shot in the head is terrible. Like, default setting, you wouldn't want that to happen. But when you've been, like, tortured horrifically and you expect things to get way, way worse, and then it's just like, only a little bit worse. And it's like, oh, okay, that's not so bad.
I am overwhelmed. The dark side of the Force, the pathway to many stories, some would consider to be non-canonical. Is it possible to learn this power? Not from Disney.
God.
This is the death of it.
This is the death of it.
It's over.
This is the end of Kathleen Kennedy's career. This may be the end of current Star Wars timeline.
I think there's going to be some radical fucking development of we made this canon or we did this shit or something else, because the way they just even contradicted the Clone Wars CGI cartoon, which had Moraband, it's like you didn't use Moraband, you use Exegol. You don't have that much you have to pay attention to, but you still fucked it up. Legends was not nearly this bad. So it's crazy. It's absolute madness.
It's
I can't believe this has happened, to be honest, but at the same time I do. Like this is just hubris at work.
Yeah. I am overwhelmed.
Yeah. Rey is the new Skywalker and the trilogy ends. The saga ends. Yeah.
And, oh fuck! I need to bring up one of the. So in the
go on.
In the second party of Endor, as it were.
Yes.
In the Star Wars the Skywalker saga, we have a scene where Lando's just kind of sitting back, chilling, reminded his own business, and then the black chick that we meet on Endor, who shows him the Death Star wreckage. And is like, I was a stormtrooper that was taken as a kid and then, rebelled and fought my way to freedom. She sits down to him next to Lando.
Yeah.
These characters have not met before. They haven't interacted. This is the first time they're meeting. She's like, oh, where are you from, General? And Lando says wherever the fuck he's from. I can't remember the name.
Gold system or something like that.
Yeah. And he's like, he just like says it because like isn't that a weird introduction to like anyone you've never met? You're just like, hey, where are you from? I'm like, oh, Linwood. I don't know, whatever. So he has that reaction of, oh, I'm from the Gold System. Kind of like looks away, and then he kind of looks at her, like really notices her, and is like, oh, what about you? I don't really know. Kind of looks at her. He's like, well, let's find out. Like, what? What is this interaction? JJ. These characters don't know each other. Is this from a cut version of the story where this chick is bigger and we find out she's Lando's kid?
Yes.
Oh, I guess they weren't supposed to know that.
This is a fucking minefield and tragedy.
What
is this?
It's a miscarriage of justice.
This is a fucking abomination that got birthed.
Yeah.
And I can't believe that this is what it was leading to. This is a fucking nightmare, dude. I can't even believe it.
It's
Star Wars reached its lowest point. I didn't think there could be a movie worse than The Phantom Menace. And then The Force Awakens happened, and The Last Jedi happened, and this movie happened, and I'm like, wow. The prequels are looking pretty fucking good right now.
How weird is it? So we have the original trilogy.
Yes.
Where first movie's great.
Yeah.
And then it improves in the second movie. And then it kind of dips a little bit in the third movie. Then we have the prequel trilogy, where it's like, oh, it starts off shaking. Then it improves a little bit. Then it improves a lot. Then we have the sequel trilogy, where it starts off kind of and then it gets worse. And then it gets like not only is this as badly, if not even more poorly written than The Last Jedi,
yes,
and inconsistent within its own universe. Not only that, but it is completely incompetent in its execution of a poor idea. Like the editing is poor. Like,
yes.
Like it's not even to the standard of being a decent film in its own right, let alone consistent with a separate universe, you know? It's
a lot.
Yeah, I don't think we can get any worse as far as Star Wars movies go.
I hope that we can't. The Mandalorian's pretty mediocre, but we can't get worse than this.
Mediocre looks great from down
here.
That
no wonder people love Mandalorian, because it's so much better than this.
You know, it's like when you've been living on just like protein bars and NASA food, and then you're like, oh my god, a 2-hour-old Big Mac. Clearly, this is the height of cuisine. And it's like, no, you fucking degenerate, and you need to get better sustenance than Disney Star Wars.
Yeah.
Fuck me.
What the fuck, man? This is. But we killed it. We finished the end.
We slaughtered it.
This is the end of Star Wars under Disney. Thank God.
We tore apart a 2-hour and 11-minute movie in 3 hours. So really,
I think that's a success.
This is a bad critique. We were longer than the movie. Why would you watch this? Why did you watch this, viewer?
It's okay.
All right. Well, that's all I got to say.
That's the Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah. Tune in next time, potentially, when we chat about it with Sal, who has not seen it, has no plans to see it in the near future. And we're gonna fuck with him because his expectations are as low as ours were. We'll see if we can trick him into thinking that some of the actual events that happen are too crazy to be real, and some of the things we make up are more reasonable to assume than the actual plot points.
Absolutely.
We'll see how it goes. But for now, I think this monster's had enough. Time to call it. Thanks for watching, and we'll tune in next time.